We be live! Shalom, shalom, everyone! Oh,
Hello.
hi! I thought you were frozen. Okay, good. We are here. Hi, everyone. People saying amazing. People, guys, liked. Yes, thank you so much. The Flying Robot Duck. That's a beautiful username. Confirming that he or she has liked the stream and reminding the rest of you that you need to do the same. And also, I want to remind, oh, shalom from Canada. Iranians stand with Israel. Wow, that's great. Yes, many of them do. I think most of them do, actually. Anyways, guys, we are going to be talking about interesting stories from Saudi Arabia. Which countries are we talking today? Saudi Arabia, the United
The
Arab Emirates,
UAE.
Lebanon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lebanon,
Lebanon and
Pakistan, and
Pakistan.
Pakistan. Are they all Islam related?
Actually, yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
this
they're
week
all
they are.
Islam related. Yeah, so guys, make sure you include your comments as we talk about these stories in the live chat. I'll try to keep an eye on them as Susie covers the stories. By the way, the reason why Susie is on the left and I'm on the right, because the person who's on the driver's seat is on the left. Okay, so these the news segments, Susie is in charge. That's why she's on the left, right? That's when we have a guest, I'm on the left and the guest is on the right because I'm in the driver's seat. Dee is also here. Dee is also in the driver's seat because she and Susie and the rest of the team has picked the news. Mars is here. Yes, Jean is saying like the stream. Yes, please, everybody, like the stream right now and keep commenting. And I'll try to keep an. By the way, Susie, the stories today, are they funny? Are they tragic? Are they absurd? Are they like ridiculous? What are we dealing with today?
We have got a few situations that are a little bit tragic, and then we're mostly going to be going into the realm of absurd, mostly.
Good.
And we actually have a good news from Pakistan.
Wait, is this our first?
No.
Good news from...
Not totally.
No, because the last time we had the good news from Pakistan...
There's still a little bit of a miscarriage of justice, to be honest, but I'll take what I can get. So
the first time we had the good news from Pakistan, it was about a bad situation being resolved a bit. So I want, like, one day we have a genuine...
similar.
This is the same thing? Okay. So I hope one day we get like a good news, all around good news from Pakistan. One day. Let's pray to the YouTube algorithm. Like, can the YouTube gods, because that's the only God that we recognize here. I know they don't have powers outside of YouTube, but because we don't have any other gods here, let's pray to the YouTube gods. Maybe they can make something happen. I don't know. What?
Yesterday I was driving and I was getting really frustrated because I was hitting every red light, and I started praying to the YouTube gods.
No. No way.
I was like, please, YouTube gods, let me get to my fucking destination.
That's funny. That's great.
So silly.
Okay. All right. So I'm glad that we're not starting the first news with a tragic one. I think we need to ease our way into the tragic ones. So I think the first one is just merely ridiculous, right? Is it clappable?
Yeah, I think it's some juicy territory.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna clap then. Okay. First news:
mocking Mecca. Saudi festival sparks outrage. In the Riyadh season, touted as the world's largest winter entertainment event, has sparked a wave of backlash from Muslims worldwide for performance involving a cube-shaped structure that many perceived as a mockery of the Kaaba, Islam's holiest site. Critics expressed outrage over what they saw as a disrespectful appropriation of Muslim rituals, with one observer noting, quote, "There are many cube structures globally, yet no one equates them to the Kaaba, except when it's in Saudi Arabia." Compounding the controversy, the event coincides with escalating regional tensions, including Israel's war with Hamas and Hezbollah, drawing accusations of insensitivity. Despite the Saudi NGO, the Anti-Rumors Authority, clarifying that the structure was merely a 4-mirrored wall display displaying digital visuals, the performance has deepened division over Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's reforms, seen by some as a betrayal of Saudi's role as the guardian of Islam's holiest sites. So this is very interesting. Let me give a bit more background. So a lot of this happened in the context of so they have this Ridya season, obviously in Ridya, and it's supposed to be this huge showcase of talent to, diversify Saudi, make Saudi a hub, international hub of entertainment and sports, blah blah blah. And so one of the events,
Ridya, you mean? I think it's pronounced Riyadh.
Riyadh? Oh, excuse
Yes,
me. Okay.
No worries, no worries.
Riyadh.
Because in Persian we call it Riyadh, in Arabic we Riyadh. I think in English it's Riyadh. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually that makes more sense. I'm just dyslexic.
No worries.
So
No worries.
God. Thank you, Armin. Basically, they're trying to have this giant event. And one of the things that they were doing for this event was the Lebanese designer. Well, now I don't feel comfortable. I don't know how to pronounce anything anymore. Eli Saab. Is it Eli Saab? It's
I
a
don't know
designer. He's a Lebanese designer. And
it's
so
okay if you don't know how to pronounce things, as long as we all know what we're talking about. Yeah.
So basically, he was doing a giant fashion showcase called 1001 Nights of Eli Saab, which is supposed to be kind of a play on 1001 Arabian Nights, And basically, it's him doing his fashion show. And to be honest, the fashion looks stunning. And there was lots of other things with it. So there were Celine Dion came and did a performance as part of that. Jennifer Lopez came and did a performance as part of that. That caused a huge backlash in and of itself, because Armin, as you can see in this photo here in our thumbnail, that part of the performance, was a little scantily clad for some sensitivities. I mean, this is J-Lo we're talking about. I don't know why people are surprised. And so
this is shocking, by the way.
And
the fact that this is in Saudi is shocking.
Oh no, we're gonna get into that. Just wait. So then they're basically a bunch of musical performances that were all packaged as part of this thing. And one of the musical performances involved this digital visualization cube structure that people automatically said started looking like the Kaaba. So what happened is, wait, let me pull this up. And I'm not gonna play the music because I don't want to get copyright strikes. But okay, here's a footage of the cube, and you see dancers circling around the cube, which also made people upset because that they make it seem like it's when you circumnavigate the Kaaba. So let's just watch and observe. Like so far, pretty standard digital display. I think that's Rosalia, the Spanish musician. I'm not sure. Yes. Pretty standard visual display from a concert. I've seen this before, especially because
it's a platform rising. Any platform rising at some point is going to look like a freaking cube. That's
exactly. So
platforms right usually here, rise.
It unveils the artist on the inside, and then they all come dance around her, blah blah blah. So when
Islam is,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I just said they're basically claiming ownership over a shape. The cube shape, apparently they have copyrighted. Like Islam has, the cube is ours. You cannot have cubes. But go on.
No. So part of what caused the problem is that if you go, wait, I gotta bump this video back a little bit. Okay. basically, oh crap, stop. Basically, people took a screenshot of this, like right here. About right here. See where it, because if you watch the whole video, you know that it's a visualization of like gold sparkles, water falling down the whole thing. But if you pause it, like right here, it looks more legitimately like the Kaaba. So this specific screenshot went viral because they just took a still image of the sparkle waterfall, and they were like, and then people were freaking out. I can read this statement that a Turkish religious official gave, because it is kind of hilarious. But yeah, this is kind of a what's the word I'm looking to shoehorn into a topic that I've been wanting to talk about with Armin for some time, which is basically, it's been very interesting for me to kind of observe the global Muslim Ummah reacting to what's happening in Saudi. Because Saudi is just trucking ahead, and then it's more the Muslims around the world who are freaking the F out. And I can come up with a few anecdotes about that. But Armin, like, can you explain that a bit to people who are not as familiar?
Well, I mean, Saudi is not doing this because they just have to. They care. I mean, they're desperate. They have seen the writing on the wall. Speaking of a Jewish Persian saying, but the writing on the wall is that oil prices are going to plummet at some point, and the Saudis have realized that okay, we're screwed. We have to diversify, and it's the Iranian regime that hasn't yet realized. I mean, they have realized that they just can't do anything about it because their structure is just so paralyzed that they can't even do anything about it, even if they realize that this is the future. But the Saudis are so desperate to become de-Islamized, to gain tourism and gain investment and increase business activity, and also to have a better relationship with the rest of the world, out of desperation. Because once, guys, you have no idea, solar panels, their prices are halving faster than ever before. Right? It's unbelievable how soon we are going to get to wind and solar being cheaper sources of energy than fossil fuels. We're getting there faster than a lot of people realize, and even faster than Saudi realize. And this is devastating for countries that for governments that most of their revenue comes from selling, gas and oil. So Saudis are desperate. They're like, hey, look, we're not the same. Please come here. Please spend money here. Please come invest here. And they're trying to signal. And also the main problem right now is that the Islamic Republic is a major security issue for them. So this is what you're saying. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, yay, Saudi is reforming. This is great. But this is them panicking. What you're seeing is a sign of the Saudis panicking and doing everything they can to survive. That's what's happening, right? So again, what was your question? Did I even address your question? I think I forgot.
Well, basically, no, I'm more curious about what you see, because you follow, especially on the English side of things, a lot of like Muslim
infighting
Dawa bros, right, and their reactions to this, and kind of reactions from the Muslim world, like maybe in particular, do you know Hakikaju?
No, yeah, so there's a whole group of Muslims. This has been a major source of tension between Muslims since the beginning, since the very first Inquisition, right? Between the Mutazilites and the caliphs. And it's very interesting because if you follow Islamic philosophy, very starting 100 years after, within the first 100 years after Islam's inception until now, you can see how if you just only focus on the philosophy, you think that they're just talking about what is Islam, what is the nature of God, what is the nature of reality. And if you're only studying the philosophy, you would think that that's actually they're genuinely trying to figure these things out. But if you study the history of Islamic philosophy and then you put the Islamic politics, the history of Islamic politics, side by side with each other and study them next to each other, you could see that the philosophy that increases in demand and it gets more patronage by their rulers is the philosophy that is either the most politically convenient at the time, or it's the philosophy that is providing legitimacy to a rebellious faction against the authority at the time, right? So one major philosophical dispute in Islam is determinism and whether everything is God's will. And given that everything is God's will, what is the responsibility of a Muslim towards a ruler who is unjust, or a ruler that is not following Islamic law themselves, a ruler that could be questioned or not whether they themselves are a Muslim, or a ruler that whatever they believe, whatever their own personal beliefs or shortcomings are they providing an environment where the people themselves could follow Islam? And all of this philosophy is now coming back, resurfacing, because the Islamic world, a lot of the Islamic world is anti-Saudi government, right? However, there are some people who are defending the Saudi government because they're the rulers of a Muslim society, and you should not be challenging a ruler of a Muslim society, whatever their shortcomings are, as long as they're providing stability for people to be able to follow Islam. And this comes, and this is they argue for that because they have a lot of hadiths supporting their claim. But then but a lot of Muslims around the world are angry with the Saudis, because a lot of Muslims around the world have even before Vision 2030, even before the Saudis were getting closer to Israel, a lot of people consider the Saudis to be not Muslim. The Saudi Arabia was a marriage between the House of Wahhab and the House of Saud, and the House of Saud, in the eyes of many Muslims around the world, was considered to be just a Western puppet, a money-making machine that doesn't care about Islam at all, right? And these are just evil rulers that are not even Muslim. I mean, it goes back to bin Laden and and United States using Saudi Arabia to attack Saddam. This goes back into the first war, the coalition, George Bush Senior. Like, this goes back then. This was the reason why Osama bin Laden turned against Saudi Arabia. This goes back far back, right? So so a lot of Muslims around the world considered they basically the takfir on Saudis, because they said, like, you allowed the infidels on the land of the Prophet, because think about this. Al-Qaeda was in Afghanistan trying to remove the kafir, the atheist Soviets from Afghanistan, which was in Islamic land. And then while they were there, they came from Saudi Arabia to Afghanistan because, like, this is insane. These infidels should not be on Islamic land, which is Afghanistan. But then while they were there, back at home, which is not an Islamic land, is the Islamic land, then the Saudis are allowing Americans to come on the land of the Prophet. So that was enough for them to be like, yeah, you guys are not Muslim. They takfir them, and they most of the many of the jihadists around the world, they went in jihad against the Saudis. They became enemy number one for a lot of people, right? So, but again, the people who are pro-Saudi, they have this hadith that backs their position Islamically. However, the people who are anti-Saudi, they call these madkhalis, they call them bootlickers, they say that their interpretation of hadith is wrong. And they say that they are basically being funded by the Saudis, because if you actually, I mean, they're not completely wrong, because the Saudi government tries to remove the ulama, the Islamic scholars that might want to challenge their authority, but they also support any Islamic school of thought that wants to have a pacifist approach. Like, they are trying to replace all the Islamic scholars that might want to challenge, want to encourage people to do jihad, to do war, to do rebellion. They prefer the kind of Salafis that are just say like, hey, let's just read the Quran and Hadith and stay home, right? So just like, let's invite people to Islam and do nothing political, right? And they do fund, like, for example, the Islamic school in Medina. A lot of Muslims around the world consider anybody that comes from that school cannot be trusted anymore, because this Islamic school in Medina is now funded by Saudis. And if it's funded by Saudis, it's funded by Zionists, basically, because the Saudis are a puppet of Zionists. And any scholar that comes from that school cannot be trusted, because they're going to come out and they're going to say, hey, do not rock the boat, do not challenge authority, because Hadith shows that you should, whatever the shortcomings of the rulers are, you should just accept them the way they are, unless they make it difficult for you to practice Islam, right? And they call the other side, who is challenging the Islamic authority, they call them Khawarij, because the Khawarij were the original people who basically turned against Ali and Muawiyah, and basically takfired anybody who wasn't living a perfect Islamic life, announcing that they're not Muslim, right? So the argument that the other side, I think, would make, that would be a strong argument Islamically, that no, this is not the Khariji thing to do. We are correct to want to remove these people from power, is that one of the fundamental parts of Islam is to establish an Islamic caliphate, right? So you say that we should not challenge an Islamic authority, even if they have shortcomings Islamically, as long as they bring enough stability for us to be able to follow essential Islamic practices. Meaning that as long as I could do my prayer, as long as I could do my fasting, as long as I could do my Hajj, and the government is not stopping me, then I should not, whatever their shortcomings are, I should not challenge them. I should not try to break them down. And if I do that, I'm one of the Khawarij. However, what you're missing is that one of the main essential parts of Islam, which is the responsibility of every Muslim, is to try to bring an Islamic caliphate. And they are not letting us. They're stopping us, right? They are in our way. They are basically trying to maintain this nation states that are Western inventions, instead of bringing an Islamic caliphate. So they are standing in our way when it comes to practicing the essentials of Islam. And that means that standing up against them is not against Islamic hadith and stuff like that. So these are the arguments from all the sides. Anyways, I went for long. So sorry, we nerded it out a little bit here.
No, that's basically what I was looking for. So I think that's interesting, because if anyone has been kind of following what Daniel Hikikuju talks about and tweets about, you'll see the threads of what Armin is talking about. Because, for example, I want to go find this tweet and I couldn't. I've been having a hard time finding people do commentary on this, because now everyone's tweeting about Syria. And Daniel Hikikuju is just nonsense. But so basically he had screenshotted a tweet that was some person talking about why should we be so worried about a nightclub in Riyadh when there are nightclubs all around the world, and we choose to not go to them, blah, 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 blah. And he was roasting that person, being like, oh yeah, it totally doesn't matter that there are nightclubs in in the land of the prophet. Like, what are you talking about? So people are getting very sensitive about that kind of thing. As an example,
both sides have some points. Both sides,
yeah,
because during the Abbasid Caliphates, for example, Christians were allowed to sell wine, right? So some people could be like, well, look at this. We have established that we can, as long as the caliph lets you do your prayer, do your Islamic thing, and the Christian could sell its wine. I mean, the Christian cannot advocate for, like, cannot promote Christianity, but they can sell wine to other Christians. So somebody says, like, well, we Islamically that should be allowed. But go on. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, I wanted to show this because I thought this was hysterical. So, Dili Hussein, this year's Riyadh entertainment season in Saudi Arabia had dancers, singles, and models performing in front of a black cube with an uncanny resemblance to the Holy Kaaba. And then this tweet. So funny. Who is this guy? Yeah,
That's
so funny.
Fantastic. Love
And
it.
then so I wanted an excuse to look at this. I found this Twitter account recently called Saudi Arabia's Reality, and it kind of plays into what we've been talking about the kind of people who are very disturbed about the direction that Saudi is heading. So like here is a video, and it's kind of like expose style video. So here they're showing that there's a nightclub, really close to the Grand Mosque. There's a nightclub in Mecca, they didn't just strike at religious symbolism, but they crossed all the lines and violated the sanctity of one of the holiest places in the land of the two holy mosques. And then they talked about, this thing again. And then, oops, stop. There was, I think there was a second cube.
The second cube is from so long ago, and a lot of people are posting that as if this was also in Riyadh.
Oh, this one.
Oh.
This one.
Oh,
This is literally just a cube with mirrors. And then they were pissed because they're like circling the cube that have mirrors. It's so that people can see all sides of the dresses. Like, this isn't
right.
I don't know. It's
again, you cannot go around things because
this doesn't even look like the Kaaba at all. This is just a cube with mirrors.
Yes.
Oh, this one was also funny to me because this is a very, very famous stylist. And then they were like, oh my God, Saudi is having transgender people in the country, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, like La Roach is not trans. He just likes to wear a bust down wig. Like he's very gay, but he's not
Men
trans.
with long hair are trans.
So I went down a wormhole. Of this account the other day. I could do this for ages. Oh yeah, here they've blurred it out, but it's like a fire dancer.
Ooh.
Wait, nice. She's gonna do a split.
That's actually
boom. There's the split.
Okay, now I want to see the actual version because that looks, even with that blur, I can tell that that's actually hot. Damn it. Where's the actual video? This is in Saudi. I can see why they're angry. Go back. That's happening in Saudi. That girl with that like that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's actually, I can still see the sexiness behind the blur.
Yeah, so it's a lot of behind the scenes looks at. Oh, this one made me, I showed this one to Armin. This was hysterical to me. So here, sorry, this one's too funny to me. It's just a dude hitting a gong. Yeah. And they're like, look at, these are unusual customs. It's literally just a dude hitting a gong. Okay. Hitting a gong. And then look at the caption. Now fully open to tourists,
pagan.
boasts the scene far removed from Saudi traditions. Here, someone strikes a gong, a practice common in Hinduism and Buddhism and other religions.
It's
not
pagan. It's pagan, I
gong
tell
is
you.
not inherently a religious thing. Like, what?
What is this witchcraft?
Yeah. So I've been finding this very amusing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, here are other nightclubs. Oh, look at the boys are out. The boys
where
are
the
out.
girls
They're having
go?
a party.
Why are they? It's a sausage fest.
It is a sausage fest.
But this sale is pretty good for Saudi that they're at least
looks pretty fun.
dancing and having fun. It looks fun. Just need some more girls.
Hey. I like that they come in kind of doing like a little bit of a dance line. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they look cool.
Just
look at
boys being boys. Just
look, it's just a few kilometers from where? From Mecca that's happening? Just a few kilometers from the holy sites. Yes.
So then a lot of these tweets are going after the official that's in charge of this whole thing. Oh, support for Ukraine. Oh, Armin, this is the other angle of the story that we didn't talk about. Look at the caption. In Saudi Arabia, support is extended to all nations affected by war except for the people of Gaza. Okay. See, this is a whole different backdrop to what was happening that I didn't even talk about. So when it came to that fashion show specifically, of Eli Saab or whatever, people were roasting this, basically being like, this is so inappropriate. How in the world could you ever do this while Gaza is at war? Blah, 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 blah. And to be honest, I mean, there's a part of me that gets why people are always going to have that reaction, but maybe it's just because I've gotten older. I've just come to terms with the fact that the world is just going to move on. Like, not really caring that much about the stuff that you care a lot about. Like, the world doesn't stop, you know? I don't have that expectation that any conflict is going to stop people from having a celebration one day. You know, people can be in like a war zone and couples will still have like stupid couple fights over stuff that isn't important. Like, life moves on. You know what I mean? No matter how devastating like a certain thing is to you personally.
I mean, I think life
who's
should
like lost
move on.
someone close to you, anyone who's like lost someone close to you, like knows what that feels like on an individual scale. You know, like you just lost a loved one and you feel like the world's never going to be the same, but everything just keeps on going on. You know, like, so I can understand why people kind of have that instinct towards that reaction, but personally, I don't. Yeah, John, like, let people live their lives. Goddamn, like it's things are always going to go on, including things that like are devastating to me. But I don't have the expectation that the world should stop because of that. But I do think it was very interesting because a lot of people were talking about how they had a sense of disappointment that this like legendary Lebanese designer wasn't doing the showcase in Lebanon. And because he was getting so much crap for it, he literally came out and gave a statement. He's like, my first fashion show happened when back in the 80s. He's like, Israel was invading Lebanon back then. That's when I did my first fashion show. Like, stop giving me this crap. This has been going on for a while. Like, life doesn't stop. I don't know. I don't think I'm articulating myself very well. What do you think?
Well, I think life, even for the sake of people who are suffering, life should move on. Okay, because when you see people having fun and partying and traveling, it's not just about them having fun. The world actually progresses faster if people continue to try to make the best out of their lives. Right now, the system, the liberal world order that we are in, the capitalist markets that we are in, progress requires for each one of us to live the best life that we could. So caring for other people gets you to a point. actually stop living your lives and actually trying to help other people, it's actually the least productive way of trying to improve their lives. I'm not saying you shouldn't care, care, but you have to live your life to the fullest. And the beauty of the current system that we are in is that living your life to the fullest indirectly benefits other people. The economic progress and the prosperity, the spontaneous order of the markets and the liberal political system that we're in makes it so that it's not required of you to stop everything to help other people. You are actually helping other people by helping yourself. So, I mean, I don't want to get into too much philosophy and economics right now, but this is how, I mean, we have been knowing that since Adam Smith. So this is not something, this is not just something I'm saying without evidence. The world has to move on so that the world progresses technologically, economically, and politically to the point where we have so much abundance of resources that fighting over oil, water, energy, computing power becomes irrelevant, because we are just living in an age of abundance. So keep living your lives. Care for other people, but don't make that stop you from living your life to the fullest.
No, here's my stance. Like, if you are so disturbed by some event or conflict that you don't feel like you can go enjoy something, like you don't feel like or maybe you feel like it's not appropriate for you to be celebrating and enjoying while other people are suffering in XYZ situation, that's okay. And like, you can go make that decision for yourself. But the idea that everyone else should feel the same way, or that you could even go out of your way to prevent other people from experiencing enjoyment or celebration because of XYZ, I think is not helpful at all. So I have an anecdotal story of during the Massa uprising in 2022, and I was living in Vienna. Like, there was some instance where there was a local nightclub, like a local Persian nightclub. And I remember that people went there and like protested and were like shouting at and shaming the people that were going to that nightclub because of what was happening back in Iran. And I didn't see that as super productive. I'm like, you have no idea, for all you know, the people that are enjoying that Persian night at the nightclub could be out in the street doing like community organizing and helping do like protests or raising awareness in their like workplace or doing other political organizing. And then they're just doing this to try to raise their spirits and raise their morale. You know what I mean? But here you are like shaming them. Like, how dare you have a night of fun while people are back home suffering? I can understand why people would have that kind of reaction, but for people to be able to like move on and just also get through the day, like, you need to have something that you can enjoy. I think it's part of like resilience in a sense. And I see that nowadays with a lot of pro-Palestine stuff, where now demonstrators are going out of their way to shut down events that the public at large enjoys. Like, at least in the situation that I talked about, that was kind of like a specific inter-community thing. But like recently, we had like the Thanksgiving parades being shut down by activists who are blocking everything. So now the entire public trying to go enjoy an event for a holiday that has nothing to do with people suffering in a different part of the world are now having their day and their celebration and the time they spend enjoying with their family as a way to connect ruined because you want to stop everything and make a political statement. You know, I just don't think that kind of thing is it's not productive. And actually, well, I mean, specifically that pro-Palestine thing at the Macy's parade is going to make people hate you and your movement and everything you talk about even more. So it's not even politically expedient on that front. But I don't know, Armin, what am I off? Because a lot of people think that that's totally not okay, that you can be enjoying yourself and celebrating while people are back home suffering. They think it's like completely inappropriate. But my argument is, it's like, well, that's a personal choice that you're making. It's not fair for you to stop or shame other people for doing that. Like, if people, I don't know, are in the Iranian context, like, they have a hard time celebrating Yalda when people are suffering, but people still need that moment to feel joy of the holidays, blah, blah, blah. I think that's important to help people get through the day and have some morale to keep going. I don't know.
Well,
what do you think?
Well, I know, because I think the whole point of all of this is what? Okay. What's the whole point of us struggling to figure out what are the right ideas and what are the wrong ideas? The whole point is woman, life, freedom, or Am Israel Kai. The whole point is to live. Okay. If we don't, it's when you are living your life to the fullest, not only you're contributing to this order that makes everyone's lives better, you're also showing what's the point of this struggle. Like, if you stop living because of these disasters, what is the point of us addressing these disasters and these tragedies if we are not living what we are? We're not living the destination. We are not exercising what the whole point of the struggle is for. Do you understand what I mean? Like, that's the point. Like, if we are fighting for people in Israel, in Iran, in Palestine, in Saudi Arabia, in Ukraine, whatever, then if we stop living our lives because we care for them, then they have lost and we have lost as well. We have to live the best life that we can, because the whole point is to bring the entire world to living the best. We are on team life, so we have to do what we are preaching. Like, you have to show what that looks like. Right? You have to show, like, or else if you abandon living properly for the sake of others, then what are we all moving towards too? Like, they are fighting to become as miserable as you are. You have to provide a model or an inspiration, something to look forward to. You have to show, when you are living your best life, you're also showing to the part of the world that has fallen behind why your ideas are better. If you are miserable, then how are you a source of inspiration? If we're showing, like, the Western liberal model is the best model, we have to. This is why when Western liberal countries are being taken over by, in some parts by wokeism or Islamism, it's not just a tragedy for those countries. It's also a tragedy for the countries who have fallen behind, because then they become disappointed. They lose hope that, oh, look at the fate of these countries that are so-called ahead of us. So even there, they are having problems with Islam. So there's no hope for anybody. So we have to actually try to live the best lives in these countries to provide a roadmap, and it's basically like living in the two sides of the Berlin Wall. Why did the Berlin Wall collapse? Okay, so you feel like, was it because the west side of the Berlin Wall was preaching better ideas to the east side of the Berlin Wall? No, it was because the west side of the Berlin Wall was living a better life. Okay, so you're like, oh, we should stop living our best lives. We should stop being happy. Well, the reason the Berlin Wall fell is because the east side saw the west side and we're like, yeah, we want that. We want that. So you're actually doing you're indirectly doing activism if you're living a healthy life, if you're living a happy life, if you're on team life, if you're partying, if you're enjoying, if you're going hiking. You're actually, even if you don't want to, in a more advanced country, if you are happy, your happiness, your superior way of life is by itself activism. Anyways, that's my. I mean, if you want to be on team life, then live a good life. That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, but it's not an
Also,
entirely selfish pursuit. You can still go do other things to make a difference and raise awareness about any cause or suffering or misery that
yeah,
you care about. It's just
I don't see
don't
anything wrong with selfishness. I
demonize
think
your own
caring is
joy.
yes, and I have seen no problem with selfishness. I think caring for other people also comes from selfishness. We get joy out of caring for other people, so everything is selfish. Even caring for other people is selfish. Anyways, I don't want to get too philosophical here. I just want to make it clear that if Muslims are claiming the cube, then I declare the sphere for atheists. Okay,
Mm,
I suggest Christians because Christians are triangle because of the
mm,
Trinity. So if
mhm.
we want to do a 3D version of that, because we're doing 3D, right? They didn't claim the square; they claimed the cube. So because atheists are usually associated with the circle, so I'm going to claim the sphere. And because Christianity is usually associated with triangle, I suggest that the Christians, before somebody else takes it, come and declare a pyramid, the 3D version of a triangle. And I was looking for what Jews can declare, and Jews have the Star of David, but the Star of David is not 3D. So I looked at the 3D version of what the
Oh,
Star of
it's
David
freaking
would look
cool.
like. Yeah, it's called a stellalted octa I have no idea. I don't know how to pronounce this. I will
I think
just
you
look
just
at
said a spell.
this is what it looks. This is the 3D version of the Star of David. How do
Uh-huh.
you pronounce this?
Stellated
It's
octahedron.
stellat. Yeah, so I think the Jews have to claim this because as a 3D shape, because it's basically two pyramids smashed into each other.
Oh,
So
that's
I think
cool.
the Jews, yeah, I think the Jews should claim that before it's
Uh-huh.
too late. Given that, I mean, they took the cube from us, so we need
I
to
know.
copyright. No, not copyright. We need to trademark each one of. It's not copyright. It's trademark. We need to trademark these shapes from us before they take the rest of it. Also, oh, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna ask you to
Mm.
scroll down so we could go through the social media posts that D found us.
Before we do that, can I show you a video of people partying? Like when all of this was happening, I could show you people either going to this concert or leaving from the concert. The video from Saudi Arabia from people celebrating because they had. It's very interesting because it's a Saudi flag that says "La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah" on it, meaning there's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. And you can see, like, let me just put it, and then after that we go to these comments. Look at this. It's so cool. Can we look?
Oh no,
No, we
this is
can't.
National Day. That's a different day.
Oh, really? I thought they're
Yeah.
going to. But anyways, but it's a celebration. It just shows the different attitudes that people are having. Like this is we like. I'm still not used to seeing images like this from Saudi Arabia. But let's watch this.
تعالوا جربوا معايا كيف يكون الاحتفال الوطني في السعودية.
Look at them.
So this is supposed to be like their version of 4th of July, basically.
I'm still not used to seeing this celebratory girl without a hijab with the Saudi flag wrapped around her. Like this is weird for me. This is weird.
Wait, what about the music? Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop the music. But it was celebratory. I just wanted to see it. This is cool.
Yeah, no, I kind of got a little bit into Saudi music recently, and a bunch of like popular artists were hired to make songs for Saudi Day. And I'm like, this looks like a good time. Good for them.
Yeah. Look at these girls, like without their hijab and driving and having fun. This is cool. Whoa. Look at that. That is weird and good. I mean, weird in a good way. I know this has been happening for a while. I still haven't gotten used to seeing videos like this coming from Saudi. This is like these people used to get beaten. I mean, just a few years ago, this girl would have been beaten with a stick.
It looks fun. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. Anyways, imagine that with music. I don't know if it was copyrighted. Okay, so let's go scroll down. Let me know how far do you want to
Yeah,
go.
so so thank you to D, our editor D, for finding some reactions on social media. So this person is Saudi disgraced Islam with this. This is the opening of Riyadh's, excuse me. Yeah. Riyadh's entertainment season in Saudi Arabia this year. They had a model of the holy Kaaba where they displayed images of singers and dancers. For the last time, it's not the Kaaba. Like, I know that they think that
Oh, look at
the
this.
house of,
This
yeah,
community
exactly.
note.
The community notes. This is not a representation of the Kaaba.
Just a normal show. Yeah. I mean, what do you think will happen when a platform rises and there's things on the side? Like, this happens in shows all the time. Like, I saw it in Vancouver when we went to see a show. Anyways,
Sure.
it was maybe it
So
was
this one
Kaaba
is
all the
funny.
time. They should have the meme that with the spaceman with the gun, like, because they have had tubes in. Yeah, like, was it all like is this the Kaaba? And then the guy,
It
it
always
always has
was.
been.
It always has been. So this one is funny because there were all these articles that were trying to portray like the audience wasn't into it and they were so disgusted or whatever. So as an example of this, they took footage of J-Lo dancing, which they obviously blurred out her outfit, and in the background there is one guy who's on his phone and they're like, look, people are looking down, looking away from their phone. They're not paying attention. They're disgusted. They're not engaging on purpose. They're refusing, blah, blah, blah. And it's literally always one video of the same guy that they continually pause on for less than 15 seconds to show that he's not paying attention. That's what they have. They have one guy.
One guy. So I mean, people look at their phones sometimes in a concert. But I mean, the guy, like these tickets are not cheap, by the way, especially that seat. I mean, I know I went to a concert. I went to Katy Perry's concert, and we had a front row seat, and that shit is expensive. Okay, so I don't think he spent so much money to be on a front row seat just to make a statement by looking 5 seconds at his phone. I mean, anybody who went to a concert knows that sometimes you look at your phone, like you're not like glued to like
I'm sure J-Lo was shaken.
Yes, maybe he just took a picture and he's like making a story like, hey guys, look where I am. I don't know. Wow, he spent so much money paying for this concert just to make a statement, like by looking at his phone.
Disgusted by this whore. Oh, and then this is the same tweet by Dilly Hussein, but scroll down. Yeah, and then this person, what a mockery. God will punish them severely for this.
Wow.
I feel like it's a little overblown. I
Jeez,
mean, I understand why people,
cool.
yeah, and then here's another reaction. This person saying they call themselves Muthsum. That is a big shame. It is going to be interesting to see what happens over the years. You know, these are the guardians of the two holy mosques. It is pretty wild.
I'm trying to say, poor J-Lo must be devastated.
Yeah.
By the way, isn't J-Lo like 50 something years old? She looks freaking good for 50. Holy crap. Like, look, she looks like a 20-year-old woman and she's 50 something. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, who knows how many tens of thousands of dollars have gone into maintaining that?
I don't think so. I think it's just living a healthy life. But
that's not true. That's obviously not true.
Hey, I haven't. People tell me I look 25. I'm 41. I haven't spent tens of thousands of dollars. So see, it can be done.
Armin, for yourself, sure, you're looking great. I'm not going to take that from you. I'm just saying, specifically with J-Lo, it is not that hard to figure out that she's had work done. Okay.
Okay.
It's
fine.
not rocket science.
It's not necessary. Okay.
If you know what to look for. And that's no hate. I'm just saying.
Yes.
So we got a bunch of
people are shocked. They see people are saying people are 41. Yes, I'm 41 actually in a few days I'm going to be 41.
Well, and you still have a month. Okay, you got a month almost.
Yes. No, 24 days, 25 days. Yes. See, people are shocked. See, yeah.
Hey, I mean,
Okay.
bask in it, my friend.
Wait, what? Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's go through the super chats we got. Dan Dave
Oh.
celebrating his membership for 14 months. Thank you, Dan. Saying Kaaba will one day be a gentleman's club. Well, no, our plan, because Armin and I have plans that we've designated,
Yes.
is for that to be the center of the Pride Parade. So as long as it's okay with having a dual purpose gentleman's club, Pride Parade Center, we'll be okay.
I don't think it will be. I think it would be a museum / event area. It would be kind of like a tourism hub that sometimes we will have events in it, like Halloween. Like if it's a Pride Month, we will have a Pride. Like we will change the black drapes into LGBT flag, and we will have a gay Pride parade there. But it will be kind of like what the Notre Dame Cathedral is in Paris. That, by the way, congratulations to the people of France that they just rebuilt it. It's now open. So basically, it's more of a tourism hub than a worship area of worship. That's what I think it will happen to the Kaaba at some point.
Okay, Dan gave us a super chat that I think has to be a troll. Why are Jews not
Yes.
offended by this Kaaba festival? Did Abraham not build the Kaaba? Oh, okay, it is a troll. But somehow Jews don't seem to give a damn. Dan gave another super chat saying Riyadh is becoming the next Las Vegas. Well, they don't have gambling there yet.
Yes, not yet. They'll probably call it something else once they do. Just like they call Halloween. I don't know. What did they call Halloween when they had Halloween?
They have a different name for Halloween?
Yeah, they just called it like Scary Day or something like that, even though it was the same day as Halloween, but they didn't call it Halloween.
Spooky Day. I don't know.
Spooky Day.
Or like October Festival, but not the beer kind. Sorgu gave us
Astaghfirullah. Sorry. Astaghfirullah. All right, go on.
Sorgu gave a super chat. Thank you, Sorgu. Saying there's always bad stuff in the world. Fun is therapy. Trying to stop fun so that everyone can be miserable as you doesn't help at all. This is very true. This is very true. Life will always move on no matter how much pain or suffering you or anyone else is in. And we can dislike it sometimes, but that's them's the breaks. David the Goliath gave a super chat saying, Armin, do Iranian extremist Muslims consider pre-Islamic Zoroastrian Persians to be Islamic ignorance, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Jahiliya?
Jahiliya means ignorance. So yes and no. Okay, so obviously some Muslims consider Zarathustra or the Zoroastrian prophet to be a genuine Muslim prophet, which is some other Muslims would question that. However, obviously, just like all other, even if you consider Zarathustra, so Ahlul, considering the Zoroastrian religion to be one of the Ahlul Kitab religions is something that Muslims disagree with, because a lot of people consider the people of the book are only Abrahamic religions, and Zoroastrianism doesn't cover that. But again, when the Arabs invaded Persia, the Persian Empire, if they want to consider Zoroastrianism to be a non-people of the book religion, then they had to massacre everybody and kill so many people like they did in India, and they couldn't afford to do that. So given that Zoroastrians had a book, there were some arguments that, okay, these people are of the book as well, and they're not mushrikeen, they're not idol worshippers or whatever. But some people are saying, no, that's bullshit. These are fire worshippers. I mean, fire worshippers is not an accurate way of describing Zoroastrianism, but some Muslims will consider them to be pagans, not a part of the Abrahamic faith. However, even whatever you consider Zoroastrianism to be, one of the people of the book or not, Ahlul Kitab or not, eventually, whatever prophet that Islam recognizes as a true prophet, eventually the people who followed them were corrupted, and they steered away from the Islamic path. So, for example, Moses is considered to be a Muslim. Jesus is considered to be a Muslim. I don't know. Adam is considered to be a Muslim. David is considered to be a Muslim. But the people steered away from their teachings, and they became corrupt. So yes, pre-Islamic Iranians are considered to be, jahil, and then the Muslims came and liberal, basically free them from their ignorance. So yes, sorry, I went too long. I'm going to stop. Yes.
HD Drake gave another super chat saying it's not plastic surgery. Obviously, J-Lo made a pact with the devil. That's why she's blocking the Kaaba. People
Yes,
are also
yes.
saying, Armin, that you must be possessed by a jinn to look so young.
Of course, that's how it's done.
John Bundock, thank you for the super chat.
Gens with benefits, by the way.
John saying, not gonna lie, I want to try some Zamzam water at some point.
Oh,
I've
don't.
heard that it's very bad for you.
It's dirty. It's dirty. I heard it's dirty as well. I don't think you should.
David the Goliath gave another super chat saying, is there any truth to the claim that Muhammad sent a letter inviting Khosrow, the king of Persia, to Islam, and Khosrow tore it apart? Or is it part of Islamic propaganda?
Islamic propaganda, that is bullshit. That did not happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone who gave us a super chat and does a long ways to supporting the show. Let's move on to the next story. We should not clap for this one because someone did die, but a lot of people are asking us to cover this, so I thought it was important.
Okay then. Well, next news.
Rabbi in the United Arab Emirates murdered in alleged anti-Semitic terror incident. The brutal murder of Rabbi Zvi Kogan, a 28-year-old Israeli Moldovan member of the Chabad Lubavitch movement, has rocked the UAE and raised fears of rising anti-Semitic violence. Kogan, a beloved figure who ran Dubai's only kosher deli store, vanished on November 21st and was later found dead, sparking international outrage. Emirati authorities swiftly arrested 3 Uzbek nationals, but motives remain unclear. Israel's foreign ministry declared Kogan as killed because of who he was, while Prime Minister Netanyahu vowed to bring the killers to justice, stating, quote, the state of Israel will use all means at its disposal. With whispers of Iranian involvement, despite Tehran's denials, lingering tensions over regional conflicts and the Abraham Accords have come under scrutiny. Kogan's death underscores a fragile balance in the UAE, where Jewish and Israeli communities have flourished since normalization, but now face fresh uncertainty. So this was obviously a huge story. Because when I first heard about it, it was last week, like the day before we filmed the show. And at that point, he was just missing. And then it became clear, like missing, potentially kidnapped. And then his body was found. And it became clear that he had been killed. What's very interesting is the UAE has basically declared this to be an anti-Semitic terror incident. His kidnappers and murderers had fled the UAE, they'd gotten to Turkey, and then were immediately extradited back to the UAE, where it was revealed that all 3 of them were Uzbek nationals who were operating in the UAE. Now, in terms of investigation about why this happened, motives are not clear and not much has been officially revealed yet. I did read some reports about how, because of the conflict in Gaza, that his shop had been receiving some harassment. So, for example, there was reporting that like the mezuzahs had been ripped off of their doors and stuff. But in terms of who did this and why, I think it is not unreasonable to make an educated guess that it is probably Iranian involvement. The Islamic Republic is known to kidnap people straight out of the UAE, including Jamshid Sharman, who was a German national US resident who was kidnapped in 2020 and then recently executed. So they just straight up kidnapped him out of the country when he was only in the UAE for a connecting flight. We know that the Islamic Republic operates within the UAE because there is a large presence of Iranian expats in the Emirates, and that the Islamic Republic has a history of hiring kind of Eastern European, oftentimes post-Soviet, or just outsourcing in general, outsourcing their criminal activity and terroristic activity to other groups to be able to accomplish their means. And they do this with, different reasons. One of them is that it can give them a sense of plausible deniability. And one problem is that a lot of those operations tend to have a low level of professionalism, I would say. That being said, another reason why I am inclined to believe that it was the Islamic Republic is because the Islamic Republic is so pathetically bad at actually doing anything to actually threaten the security of Israel, that the next best thing that they can do is to terrorize and attempt to kill and abuse random Israelis and random Jews around the world. That's kind of the next best thing that they can do, is just go after random Jews around the world, because they're so freaking inept at doing anything of substantive damage against Israel. Now, that being said, Armin, do you think I'm off base? Is this the possibility? I feel like this is the most likely explanation based off of the information we have so far.
I mean, it's a fair guess, but the problem is that anti-Semitism is so strong that the potential candidates are, high in number.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the Islamic Republic. It could be just a Muslim who was just angry for what's happening in Gaza, and because of the high level of anti-Semitism, like, oh, great, a Jew, I could basically express my anger on this guy, right? So because anti-Semitism is so prevalent among Muslims, it's hard to know for sure who did it. The question is is it more political or ideological? And I know there's always there's an overlap between them, but the primary motive could be anti-Semitism, anti-Israeli, anti-Jewish, which makes it more ideological. But if it's more a political reason, it could be that would make the Islamic Republic answer more possible if it's political. And here's why. I know that the Islamic Republic is ideological anyways. However, the reason why I say if it's the Islamic Republic, this is more political. The explanation for that is, first of all, you have to understand that the Islamic Republic is not one thing with one agenda, right? So if this is the Islamic Republic, some people in the Islamic Republic would be against it, because some people within the Islamic Republic are noticing how dangerous the situation has become for the Islamic Republic, and doing stuff like this. There are elements within the Islamic Republic that are trying to negotiate with the United States and go back to the table, because they know that their survival is at risk right now, and they see that the only way that we could survive is to getting back on a less aggressive approach towards the West and the rest of the world, right? So there are some elements within the Islamic Republic that see this as a problem, acts like this as a problem. But there are also other elements within the Islamic Republic that think that they need to have results like this to appease their base, because they are looking pathetically weak regard to what they're able to do to Israel. So if they cannot take out any Israeli military assets, we need to have something to show to our base that we are making life miserable for the Jews or Israelis somehow, so that we don't look this pathetically weak to our base. We need a sacrifice. This is basically the blood that some of the base is asking for. And again, a lot of the base are asking for more. Like, they want to see Israel's military being handicapped or like destroyed in some way, and they have nothing to offer, so they go after a random civilian just to be able to have something. And whether or not this is the Islamic Republic or not, some people within the Islamic Republic will try to take advantage of his killing to say, like, oh, this was us. So it might even be some other Muslim who's doing this for anti-Semitic or anti-Israeli reasons. And even if it's not the Islamic Republic, there will be elements, there are elements within the Islamic Republic who desperately will come and act like this was them, just so that their base that is looking like, what are you doing against the Jews? They're basically they're doing everything they want to us, and we have very little response. So the response, that part of the Islamic Republic either has to pretend that everything that you're hearing on the news is propaganda, and the axis of resistance is actually winning, and Israel is crumbling. They are, and they have a certain amount of their audience in Iran that works from there. You won't believe how many Hezbollah and Islamic Republic supporters are watching everything that is happening in Lebanon and Gaza right now, and have been convinced that they are actually winning this war, right? So,
I need to have a whole conversation with you about that. It is wild. Sorry.
It is so, like, they're living in their own bubble. It's unbelievable. It's so amazing. Like, for example, right now that there's a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah, there are so many Hezbollah supporters in Lebanon and in Iran. They're like, oh my God, this is fantastic. We defeated Israel. Israel was defeated because they had to agree to a ceasefire. It's unbelievable.
God.
The level of cope is, I don't know. They live in a parallel universe. They don't live in our universe. They're so far away
Seeing
from
a Hezbollah victory celebrations is insane. And I'm like, do you know the terms of the ceasefire agreement? Because I do. It doesn't make you guys look good. Also, do you know the timeline? Do you know what happens after 60 days? Trump is in office, motherfucker.
But I don't know. If I start talking about how ridiculous that is, I'm not going to be able to stop. So
can you please do a stream on Hezbollah cope? Armin, that would be so good, actually. That would be such a good stream. Remember when you did the meme streams?
Mm-hmm.
We need a
maybe
Hezbollah
I should do
cope
Hezbollah
stream.
cope.
That would be so good. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Yeah, the main argument that they're making right now, okay, is should I make that, or maybe I shouldn't talk about it because we're behind, right? But anyways, I won't make that. I'll do maybe another stream about that, because what the main arguments are for why they're winning and why that's ridiculous. But anyway, so it's either brainwashing and coping and acting like they're winning, even though their ass is being handed to them, like they're acting. And this is very dangerous, guys, because the reason why so many Palestinians are suffering, and the reason why so many Lebanese people are suffering, is because they are, no matter what the fuck happens to them, there are people who convince them that they're winning, and this is why they will continue to suffer. The main way that we will end this war is for the Palestinians to finally realize that there's no winning this war. And the more brainwashing that we have, the more, like, no matter how much you win in military battle, if they are convinced that they're not losing, they will just continue. So this is very bad. This brainwashing is actually really bad for the Palestinian people. Anyways, but for the other people who are not convinced, because I know these people are religious maniacs, but some of them some of them have come to the realization that this is not what winning looks like at all. Like this is, they keep telling us that we're winning, but this doesn't look like winning, right? So for those people, the Islamic Republic, some elements within the Islamic Republic is desperate to show some sort of result, and this might be one of those.
Yeah.
So
one thing that I wanted to talk about in this news story is, Armin, if you could go down, there are a couple of Emirati figures that I follow. And, granted, I want to be clear that I obviously have limited access. These are people who are facing the English speaking audience. I don't know what the general UAE attitude is. And these are specifically activists who are like very pro-Abraham Accords, very pro-Israel. And seeing their reactions to this event was interesting. So here's one guy. His name is Amjad Taha. To our beloved Jewish community, good news of strong and firm justice is coming to every racist, anti-Semitic criminal. You are about to face the hell of hell. Proud to be from the UAE, a country that stands for law, order, and zero tolerance for hate. So one thing that I've been finding very, I don't know the right word for it. I mean, for lack of a better word, like amusing or interesting, is the reaction from some of these figures that I follow that kind of represent the very pro-Abraham Accords type of Emirati. And it's like they took it personally. Like, I don't know how to put it. It's like, you killed a Jew in our territory. I took that personally. Like, how dare you? And I find it very interesting because this guy in particular, he often talks about how the West is doing a bad job of handling Islamists, where he just talks about how, like, I don't know how to put it. I don't know what you Western guys are doing where we're from. Like, Islamism is illegal. Anti-Semitism is a crime. Like, you can't do that here. This is why we are a good place. Da 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 da. So if you scroll down, so there's this other one from what's his full name? Luai Al-Sharif. And Luai, I believe, actually knew the victim, Rabbi Kogan. And here was another example of this attitude I'm talking about. The UAE's Minister of the Interior, Sheikh Saif bin Zayed, delivers a strong message to anyone who attempts to undermine the security of the UAE and its residents, stating they will face decisive punishment. Next sentence, capital punishment remains a legal penalty in the UAE. So the vibe is like, I don't know where you guys thought you were. Like, I don't know how you thought this was going to go down. The vibe is very like, the subtext is, these guys are going to hang for this and we're happy about it. Like, I have a certain, I don't know, like the right way to put it. Like, it's kind of, it's an honesty. Like, they have no qualms about being honest about like what goes down there. Like, for Luai or that other guy, like, they don't necessarily, like, they don't really pretend that they have free speech. Like, Luai is like a monarchist. Like, he is actually not really for democracy and for his nation, blah, blah, blah. And so they like don't really apologize for these things. And there's a certain level of like honesty about it. It's a certain level of unapologeticness that I appreciate, even if maybe I have like criticisms or whatever, that I find very refreshing because it's just kind of unapologetic, I guess I could say. I don't know if I'm making sense, but Armin, if you scroll down, there's another one. Luai again, saying the UAE condoles the families of our dear brother Z Kogan and Moldovan Israeli citizen. The UAE also expresses its gratitude to Turkey for extraditing the criminals and reaffirms its commitment to tolerance, coexistence, and security at all and for all. May God avenge his blood. Like, they just full out like, oh no, these guys are getting the iron fist. I don't care. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, zero chill. And I have a certain appreciation for the honesty of the zero chill. You know, they're not quibbling about it. They're just being full blown. Am I making sense? Like, I'm
Yeah,
not
no.
saying it's right, but I think the not pretending to be something you're not is kind of refreshing, if that makes sense. So that's been very interesting for me to kind of get the temperature check of those kinds of figures and how personally they took this, and how the UAE as a nation, or their leaders, seem to be taking this very personally, in the sense that they cracked down like very swiftly, extradited the criminals very quickly. And there was a senior official that also, I believe, went to Israel to attend the funeral of the rabbi himself. Armin, what do you think of my assessment of this this attitude?
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. I mean, whether we believe in your principles or not, we appreciate the honesty, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot there that we could celebrate. We're not totalitarians. We don't need you to completely be in direct everything. Not everything you want has to align with us for us to celebrate the progress, right? The wanting being at the side of the Abrahamic Accord, being against anti-Semitism, wanting normalization of a relationship with Israel, being against the spread of Islamic radicalism in your country, being in favor of law and order, having some other principles of the liberal order and believing in that, that is a sign of progress. That the more that we see that among Arabs, we celebrate it, even if it's not all the way. Like, we could be, if they believe in capital punishment, if they are against free speech, if they are against a couple of other things, we don't look at where we are right now to judge. We look at the trend, right? So the best way to judge is not look at where they are now and be like, okay, that's not where that's not ideal. You have to look at where they were before and where they are now, and you could celebrate the direction rather than judging it purely based on where they are at. And things are moving in the right direction, I think, in some Gulf Arab countries. And it's interesting to see some Israelis are actually noticing how some people with the traditional Arab clothings, when it comes to Israel, they have the best takes on Twitter. So I think like some people, yeah, So I mean, that's great. That's by the way, the traditional Arab clothing is not a religious; it's an Arab identity.
Yeah.
It's not an Islamic identity, right? So, for example, if you want to look at clothing, like,
The
for
super
example,
like Khaliji look.
this
Yeah.
is not religious. This is an Arab identity. So, for example, this is Islamic clothing. Like, this clothing is meant to highlight your Islamic identity, right? But this clothing is not meant to highlight your Islamic identity. This clothing is meant to highlight your Arab identity, right? So this is traditionally Arab. This is like, for example, just as an example, this is like, hey, I'm a Muslim. This is, hey, I'm an Arab. So just learn the difference.
I think the super formal like Gulf Arab robes that they wear are so freaking cool. Like, get a dude wearing that with a rifle and a horse. Like, you can't tell me that's not badass.
Right.
Oh, Emmy in the live chat saying, yes, as Emiratis, we are horrified that someone dared to do this in our country. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, people are taking it really personally. Like, how dare you bring kind of this like dishonor to people who are kind of like guests in our countries, who are new, who came here, and they have zero delusions about what's going to happen. Okay. So let's go to this.
Susie, you're secretly enjoy that demonstration of strength.
I don't know how to put it, because I appreciate the honesty about it. They're not pretend.
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it. I can't articulate myself well.
Yeah.
Like the best thing that I can, I mean, this isn't, I don't know. It's really hard for me to articulate. I think it's because I'm so freaking exhausted by being in
Leniency
like, well, no,
towards
like
bullshit.
progressive. I've been so solidly in progressive areas for the majority of my life that I'm so used to people like having a sense of like hypocrisy and really talking out of the side of their mouth and a lot of innuendo and euphemism and not really being fully honest about what they say, what they mean. But this is honest. Like one thing that I've said that, you know, I have an easier time sometimes having a respect for certain people who are heavily right-leaning versus people that are heavily left-leaning communists, because the communists rarely will be honest about the cost of their ideology versus someone who's like maybe more on the authoritarian right will just be like straight up honest about what the consequences of their ideology is, and they'll be like, yeah, and that's a good thing. You know, but there's a intellectual honesty about it that I can appreciate, even if I heavily disagree with them. It's the dishonesty and the lying of the commies that drives me crazy.
Right.
But that's different. We need to move on.
I just want to highlight some growth in our chat because I
Mhm.
was going to highlight this and call it out, but then I saw some change in tone, which I appreciate, because Nina was saying, sorry, they look like pigs to me.
No, that's his
no,
pajamas.
pajamas to me. Okay. So that's actually less bad. But then she changed her, but people called her out, and then she said, okay, I guess I'm dooming too much. You're right. I don't know if this is response to, because people like, she was being like, because she was basically, I think she was suggesting that these Arabs, if I don't know if I'm interpreting her messages correctly or not, but she was basically suggesting that, oh, they're all Arabs or something. And again, guys, if we want to get out of this, we have to get away from that way of looking at the world. You know, the way, if you want stability in the Middle East, if you want Israel to survive, if you want liberalism to grow in the Middle East, just like looking at anything Arab and basically crossing over that, that's basically the opposite of what we want. Okay,
Yeah.
we are seeing a huge sign of
Lame.
progress. No, but I want to celebrate Nina, because people told her, and she said, "Okay, guess I'm doing too much," and then she says, "You're right." That's fantastic. This is why I love our chat, because even if I know, you know, we have such a positive effect. Look, Nina is saying, "Yeah, I admit I'm doing too much." Yes, fantastic. I do. Yeah, that's fantastic. No, you're great. You're great. You changed your opinion. People corrected you, and you accepted criticism, and that's the growth that we like to see in our community. That's fantastic. I love that. Yeah.
Okay, so Dan Dave gave a super chat saying, not a good idea for Jews to be going to Muslim nations in India as well. Israeli government and Indian government advises Jews to only remain in Hindu areas and to not reveal their identities to Muslims. Sad, but true. I mean, that's not entirely accurate though, because the Emirates have gone such a long ways in welcoming open Jewish life in their country. I mean, based on what I've observed. Yeah.
I mean, by the way,
Cast.
just remember that every time something like this happens, we have to point out like what happened in the UAE. Again, I appreciate the UAE trying to maintain law and order and everything. That's good. However, this also is a reminder that why we need Israel, and and this also confirms Zionism as a legitimate project. So just remember that every time. But yeah, let's continue.
Zero chill. Plungecast just became a new member. Thank you so much, Plungecast, which is a good reminder to everyone that one of the best ways to support this channel is to become a member. You can do so by hitting the join button down below. And you can also support us via PayPal or Patreon. Links are in the description, and it helps keep the show going because we run multiple channels, projects over here at Atheist Republic, including our Persian channel where we spread corruption in the land. This comment, I don't know how to say this name in Hebrew. Okay, to the Jews in the live chat, can you please answer a question? I went down a rabbit hole last night trying to teach myself and learn and kind of clear up the differences in the different sects of ultra orthodox and Haredim and who's Hasidic and non-Hasidic and all this stuff. Can someone please tell me? I cannot get a clear answer on this. Is Chabad Orthodox or ultra Orthodox? Please enlighten me, because I am confused. Okay. Dave gave a super chat saying pre-Islamic Iranians were great friends of Jewish people, from Cyrus to even Sassanids, who supported a Jewish rebellion against the Byzantines in the 7th century.
Yeah, well, the Sassanids were self-interested because the Byzantines were their enemies. I prefer the Hachameneshian. How do you say Hachameneshian in English? Achaemenids. The Achaemenids were more tolerant than the Sassanids. The Sassanids pretended like they're like the Achaemenids, but they were relatively intolerant. The Achaemenids, even though they were ancient, it's ancient history. They are the earliest record of proper multiculturalism in ancient history. And this is not propaganda, but this is, you could read it on Cyrus's cylinder. The reason why the Jews managed to go back and rebuild their temple, the second temple, was because Cyrus the Great was allowing everybody to just live their own lives, and basically as long as they're not interfering with other people, right? But the Sassanids, they were actually pretty firm. They were pretty intolerant towards other ways of living. I mean, if they supported the Jews against the Byzantine, it's because they were anti-Byzantine more than if they were pro-Jewish. Yeah, but the Achaemenids, or the Hachameneshian, they were properly multicultural or intolerant. Yeah. Yeah, Cyrus was just doing politics. So,
Dumbass is saying Muslims have no non-Muslim friends. Muslims are commanded to smile on the face of unbelievers, cursing them in their hearts. So Muslims have no non-Muslim friends. Get in your heads, people. Well, I have Muslim friends, so
yeah, I have Muslim friends too.
Calm down.
You're crazy. Calm down. Yeah.
Bull McLeod gave a super chat saying tribute to Susanna because she said how funny last week. It's true. You do get me sometimes. He be getting me. Prash asked a question saying, Armin, was Zoroaster a real person? Was Zoroastrianism founded to be an inversion of Hinduism?
Okay, so whether Zoroaster was a real person or not, we don't have any historical evidence for them being a real person. However, legends and myths are usually based on something that happened. So even though we don't have any historical evidence for the existence of Zoroaster, my guess would be that his story is probably based on some guy that existed at some point. And also, was Zoroastrianism founded to be inversion of Hinduism? I don't think it was like intentionally built to be the inversion of Hinduism. I just think that both Hinduism and Zoroastrianism are founded upon ideas that came before them, and there's given that how some of the beliefs in Zoroastrianism seem to be the mirror opposite of Hinduism, there seems to be some, maybe this suggests that there was some competition or some tensions between the proto-Zoroastrianism and proto-Hinduism ideas that came before what we today recognize as Hinduism or Zoroastrianism. But what did that exactly look like? I don't know, and I don't know if anybody knows. It's just interesting, but it wasn't intentionally built to stand against Hinduism. It just seemed to be some competitions or tensions between the roots of their ideas, given that some of their ideas are completely against each other or the mirror of each other. So yeah.
We also got a super chat by Asian American saying silk is a gift given to us by the goddess Liuzu. Is it okay to drape it over the Kaaba? Why is it okay to drape it over the Kaaba? Exactly. Okay. Gasian asking the good questions. We shall not tolerate this. Apparently we have copyrighted the cube, trademarked the cube, and now we got to trademark silk.
Yes,
And
by the way, I
also-
said copyright. Copyright is the wrong term to use.
Yes.
If you want to, you could trademark a cube. You can't copyright a cube, but yes.
I'm still getting conflicting answers about if Chabad is Orthodox or ultra-Orthodox, please. And also, I just want to give a shout out. I think this stuff is so cool. I don't know why people be hating. You're telling me that this doesn't look freaking badass? So I just have a real appreciation for these kinds of things. This is freaking cool.
Okay, this is cool. However, I don't think most Arabs have the time to put this much effort into making their clothes look this good.
No, of course.
I mean, this
is for a special occasion. This is definitely for a special occasion. I'm just saying it looks dope. I mean,
yeah, this looks dope, but yeah, goes a lot of effort into looking this good. I think this guy's a model.
He's a musician.
Okay.
I'm just throwing it out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, people don't dress in their traditional outfits every day, but when they do, it's pretty cool. Okay. So let's go to the next news. We can clap for this because this is just going to be wildness. This is going to be wildness.
Okay. Clappable?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we actually are going to hate what this guy says.
Oh, you did.
What?
Okay.
Huh?
I'm just remove the star comment because
okay.
I was checking if we were. Yeah.
Okay, let me be clear. We're going to hate what this guy says, but this is one of those situations where this guy is like so wild. We're so wild that it's amusing with how unhinged this is.
Mm-hmm.
That's the realm we're going into. But it's horrible. But it's unhinged.
It's so horrible that we can't clap, even though
no. We're gonna clap because it's just gonna be like into the realm of absurdity.
Unhinged.
You're gonna get a lot of enjoyment out of. I'm looking forward to seeing your expression on your face while we watch this clip.
Okay, let's see what we have here. All right, let's go for this.
Okay. Next news. Academic proposes genocide or deportation after the liberation of Palestine. In a deeply disturbing interview, Iranian-based Lebanese academic Hadi Dalloul openly discussed potential solutions for Israelis following a hypothetical liberation of Palestine, explicitly suggesting two extreme scenarios: genocide or mass deportation to Europe. During an appearance on a Lebanese YouTube channel, Dalloul speculated about the fate of Israelis, stating, quote, "The dispute right now is whether to carry out a genocide against them or will the civilians be allowed to leave." YouTube, these are not our views. We are reporting on them for the sake of education. He further claimed that Europe would be reluctant to accept Israeli refugees, suggesting that they would face significant barriers and potential rejection. Dalloul's remarks, which framed the potential elimination or forced displacement of an entire population, have raised serious concerns about incitement and extreme rhetoric in the ongoing Israel-Hamas and Israel-Hezbollah conflict. His comments, presented under the guise of academic discussion, explicitly contemplated two horrific outcomes for Israeli civilians, revealing a deeply troubling perspective on potential conflict resolution. So let's just dive straight into this video. This is wild. Oh, wait, it's paused in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to be... Wait. It won't let me... Armin, there's something... I think you have to unmute the video. It won't let me unmute the video. There we go.
Unmute it.
Okay, cool. So I will read the subtitles of this. Okay. I'm just going to be watching Armin's facial expressions. What will the liberation of Palestine look like? The Israeli population will, and then he's like, there's still a dispute about this. Like, we haven't decided. Will the Zionists be allowed to flee? Will the Israeli soldiers be allowed to take off their military uniforms?
باب عن الجيش الإسرائيلي يشلح البدلة العسكرية ويلبس بدلة مدنية
Put on civilian clothes and flee with the civilians, or will they be arrested?
ويفر مع المدنيين أم سيتم حجزهم؟ هل سيتم قتلهم أم
Will they be killed, or will they be deported to Europe?
سيتم أم ترحيلهم إلى أوروبا؟
Europe is adamant against opening its gates to immigrants.
أوروبا أصرت على عدم فتح الأبواب للمهاجرين لأنه طبعا هن
They will not name them Israeli Zionists, so it will not be considered racism. We're going to unpack this a bit later, don't worry.
يسموهم في الدرجة الأولى أنهم إسرائيليين صهاينة لأنه ساعتها بتصير عنصرية. كل ما سيقولوه في البداية
I expect them to say at first that Europe is still in crisis because of COVID or whatever.
أتوقع أن أوروبا في أزمة بسبب كورونا بسبب الأزمات وليست مستعدة أن
And not ready to accept immigrants.
تستقبل مهاجرين. انتبه مهاجرين.
They will say immigrants without specifying.
بدون تحديد وبالتالي تقفل الأبواب
They will shut the door. This will shut the door before the Zionists.
أمام الصهاينة لأنه إذا راحوا لهناك بدهم يعملوا
Because if they go there, they will stage a coup and establish a second Israel.
إسرائيل ثاني هيعملوا انقلاب وأعتقد اليوم صار هولندا.
And then, so here's he's talking about the freaking pogrom that happened in Amsterdam. I think what happened in the Netherlands proved to the Europeans
والدليل وبيأكد الأوروبيين ما هي النموذج لوجود إسرائيل.
what the presence of Israelis in Europe will look like. Which is a wild interpretation of what happened in Amsterdam and also the reactions to what happened in Amsterdam.
لديهم خصوصا أن دولتهم قد كسرت.
Let alone after their state was dismantled.
لذلك الخلاف الآن
So the dispute right now is whether to carry out a genocide against them,
هل سيتم إبادتهم إبادة جماعية؟ هل سيتم فتح باب
or will the civilians be allowed to leave?
للمدنيين؟ هلا هناك صراحة أصوات
Honestly, there are many voices.
كثيرة. هل إبادتهم
Should there be a genocide against them, or should they be deported?
أم ترحيلهم؟ طيب أنا إذا رحلتهم
If I deport them abroad, but they are not welcome there,
لبرا وبما إنه برا ما بدهم يستقبلوهم هذا يعني أنه سيكون
there will be refugee camps.
هناك مخيمات. المخيمات الإسرائيلية في
In these Israeli camps abroad, the first decision they will make
الخارج أول قرار سيأخذ
will be to teach at school that Israel was over there,
في التعليم أن هنا كانت إسرائيل وعلينا أن نتجمع.
and that they should make arrangements to return to Israel. Which seems like a kind of an interesting reflection. You know what I mean?
نعود إلى إسرائيل. طيب شو بكون عملنا؟ معناته حنرجع.
So what have we accomplished? We'll have to fight all over again.
عارف من أول وجديد.
الخطر نفسه.
The Europeans, for whom they will be a nuisance,
منزعجين منهم بدهم كمان يشتغلوا
will also make efforts to send them back.
بالكوميونيتيز بأنظمة شديدة لإعادتهم للأرض. فأفضل لنا.
So it is best for us for them to get it over with.
ولهم ونخلص.
Wow. So two things that jumps out to me is, first of all, this man seems to agree with us that there is Jew hatred all around the world. The disagreement is that he thinks that's justified. Like, he agrees that if Jews go anywhere else in the world, there will be anti-Semitism against them, Jew hatred against them. The difference is that he thinks that it's because Jews cause, wherever they go, they will try to cause a coup. They will try to bring down that area. Everybody is trying to get rid of their Jews and he thinks for good reason, right? And what you saw in Amsterdam is basically a natural reaction that a society will have to just having the Jew sickness, right? That's what these people think, right? Another thing that jumps out to me is how convinced he is that they're going to win any day now. Like, they're making plans, like, right after their ass was handed to them, so in such a beautiful and epic way, and Hamas's leaders are dead and Hezbollah's leaders are dead. These people are busy making plans about what to do, not like a decade from now, but any day now, once they
the day after.
liberate. Like any day now, like Palestine will be free. So let's make plans about what to do with the Jews. And he's arguing that we shouldn't be kicking them out to Europe because Europe wouldn't want them, and they're going to come back and they're going to cause a problem again. So the solution to the Jewish problem, like this is basically Nazi like ideology, is to just do the world a favor, and instead of sending them to Europe and making this Europe's problem, and then eventually it will become our problem again, we should do the world a favor and just finish the job and remove this from the world. That's what he's saying. By the way, why does he have an Iranian flag and Khomeini's picture behind him?
Because he's based in Iran.
Okay.
Yeah. He's
wow. Okay.
Based in Iran.
This is all right. Wow. That's pretty intense. That is
the amount of projection is wild to me. Like, oh yeah, Europe is adamant against opening its gates to immigrants. They will not name them Israeli Zionists, so will not be considered racism. So what he's saying is like, oh, basically, as long as they don't say it out loud, they're going to come up with some sort of way to not allow this to happen. And then when he talks about where is it? Yeah, what happened in the Netherlands proved to the Europeans what the presence of Israelis in Europe will look like. Do I have a media bubble, or is all of the conversation about Europe talking about what the presence of Islamists in Europe looks like? What? The amount of projection.
No, but their ideology, they think that the world knows that how big of a problem the Jews are, right? So this is the way that these people think, okay? So yeah, there might be anti-Muslim migration, but he would think, let's not kid ourselves. Everybody knows that the Jews are basically the worst for every society, right? However, because the Jews have controlled the media, they have made it, and they control politics and finances. Again, YouTube, not my views. I'm just telling you what the bubble that these people live in. They have made it so they have made it life difficult for people who want to say that openly, right? Because they're just present everywhere. Even though they're small in numbers, they're so deceiving and they're so cunning that they have managed to, and they also like make plans with the devils and whatever. Anyways, that's why the world cannot say what is so openly and transparently in front of their eyes, right? That's why when Europe has, once we take Israel and make it Palestine, when Jews go to Europe and this becomes Europe's problem, they would have to not call them Jews, just so that they could get away by not being called racist. They will call them immigrants, because there's already a sensitivity in Europe against immigrants. So if Europe ends up having a Jewish problem, they will not call it a Jewish problem. They will call it an immigrant problem, because that's already has been established as something that is a problem in Europe. So that's what he thinks. This is interesting. These people live in their own world, and again, these are not a minority of. These are not a small number of people who think like this. I'm just, I see this on Telegram accounts, this kind of thinking all the time. I'm just interested that I'm seeing this like on, like, where is this being posted? Like, this is so transparently unhinged on a where is this? Like, is this a Lebanese
Yeah, this was on a
TV channel?
Lebanese YouTube channel.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Guys, this is a world that these people live in. Is completely different from the world that we live in. It's weird. It's weird. But yeah. Okay. So somebody ask a question. This was a super chat, which is really relevant. So HD Drake is saying, are there really people this delusional? I thought they were talking about the Palestinian at first. That dude's crazy. Yeah, no, there are many of people. Like we said in the previous news, there are genuinely a lot of people that are convinced that the resistance is winning, Israel is falling, this everything is going their way. They soon will be able to take over all of Israel. In fact, they're looking at the news right now and they see that the signs are showing that they're winning the battle. So there are millions of people that think like this.
I'm convinced more and more that you need to do a stream on the Hezbollah.
Cool.
You really do, because I think this needs to be a broader discussion. And in this discussion about why admitting defeat is an important step towards progress. I would love to see you do that stream and that discussion, Armin.
Yeah. Amir is saying, sounds very desperate, okay? This is the Shia way, okay? The whole point is that if you shove a sword up my ass, I will claim victory because I captured your sword with my anus. That's the Shia method. That's the Shia way.
Dude, you Iranians have some of the craziest sayings in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
Oh my gosh. What is that other saying that you have about like sitting on a saw?
Yes. Arre.
Explain
So
that one.
Arre to kun. No, but let me explain this one first, because the Iranian regime usually says this is the victory of blood over sword. Okay, so blood in Persian is khun, sword is shamshir. They say piruzi khun bar shamshir. Khun meaning blood, shamshir meaning sword, right? So the problem is that we have another word called that means anus or ass, which is kun. Okay, so kun and khun rhyme with each other. So the anti-regime people say like, oh, this is the piruzi kun bar shamshir, right? So the regime says like blood wins over the sword, like meaning that blood wins over the sword is basically saying that when we die, we turn into martyrs, and the blood of the martyrs will eventually win. So if you think that you're killing us, our death is actually what makes us eventually victorious. The more martyrs that we have, the more means that we're winning. And the other side makes fun of them and says like, please continue winning by becoming martyrs. We celebrate your victory. Like, as long as you're winning by dying, fantastic. Keep winning. Keep winning. We hope that you continue winning in the way that you want to win. But the other way people say is, okay, so this is the piruzi kun bar shamshir. So instead of saying the victory of blood over sword, they say, oh, this is the victory of ass over sword, because they shoved a sword up your ass and you captured it. So because kun and kun rhyme, it's
I caught you with my ass. The visual, so I'm just having a visual right now of like catching a sword in between two ass cheeks, like some really muscular booty cheeks, like I got you. And the other person is like, unhand me, you fool. Unask me, you fool.
Let go of my sword.
Cheeks are too firm. I can't get it. Oh my god. Wait, but because it kind of fits, can you describe the saw saying?
Yes, so it's funny because it's so famous that I even see that on Iran International. Sometimes, even though they're talking so professionally, they forget what this is referring to. So even like very professional anchors, they sometimes they don't remember the origin of the saying, and they say like, the situation is a Saw situation for Khamenei right now, isn't it? And the other analyst professional like, yes, it's a Saw situation. I'm like, what the fuck? These are professional analysts, and they're calling it a Saw situation. And the reason why they call it a Saw situation is because if you shove a saw up someone's ass, okay, it becomes a very difficult situation, because no matter which direction you know, if you go in or if you go out, it's going to tear your ass in any direction. So when Khamenei is like stuck in a situation, if they do something, they're fucked, and if they don't do something, they're also fucked. Like whatever direction they go, it's a basically it's the translation of the English saying you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Okay, but a rock and a hard place is not aggressive enough for Iranians, so they say
not exaggerated
Iranians
enough.
say it's not exaggerated enough for Iranians. So Iranians would say this is a saw in the ass kind of situation, because if you go forward, it tears you apart. If you go backwards, it tears you apart, no matter what direction you go. So that's what they say.
That's one of my favorite sayings. It's so funny.
Right.
And everyone, this is the poetry of the Persian language. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Amir, a rock and a hard place doesn't have an ass element, sadly. Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
I love the news anchor. Oh yes, it's a Saw situation.
So, yeah, no, I saw it. Like I was watching Iran International, which was it's not like a YouTube channel. It's like these are mainstream news channel by the Iranians outside of Iran, and the analyst was like, "This is a very the host was like asking the analyst, this is a Saw situation for Khamenei, isn't it?" And like the analyst was like, "Yes, this is a Saw situation for Khamenei." Like, what the fuck? Like, you guys are professionals. Why are you talking like this?
It's very
so amazing.
Armin, it's no joke. That is a very serious medical situation, and I hope they have a good surgeon. Okay. Oh my god, so funny. So funny.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we
got
just got a super
chat.
chat. So let's go to the super chat. Gasian American, thank you for the $5. Saying scientists in Japan. Oh wait, no. Let's scroll down first.
Let's do these comments first.
Yeah.
These comments.
These are hysterical. Do you find some good stuff? Okay. Someone give this guy a pager.
Somebody in the chat said the same thing. That's fantastic. Love that comment.
Gosh.
And then this one.
Yeah, your average anti-Zionist right here. But again, this is what I'm talking about, guys. They have the honesty to say it out loud. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have the honesty, the intellectual frankness to say it out loud. Just don't bullshit. Don't quibble about what the consequences are. I have a certain level of appreciation for just being out with it. You know what I mean? And again, for the people who are stupid, that doesn't mean that it's good what they say. That doesn't mean that they agree. I agree with what they say. I just appreciate that be freaking honest about what you mean, with the consequence of what you say, instead of quibbling and coming up with a bunch of semantics and not being honest and da. No, this guy's he's an honest anti-Semite.
Okay, no, but somebody saying no appreciation. I think you guys are misunderstanding what Susanna is saying. I appreciate these people being honest because it makes our job exposing them easier. Yeah, it's when we say we appreciate them being honest, it's not like we're celebrating these people. It's just that exposing them and demonstrating the threat, demonstrating the anti-Semitism, our work becomes so much easier, and
you don't have to read between the lines and convince people that this is what they mean, because you have more context than they do. So you don't have to convince your interlocutor that no, this is what they actually mean when they say this, that, blah, blah, blah. Oh no, they're not being honest about this context. They're not being honest about this consequence. No, they're just straight up saying it.
Yes. Because when these people, when they're two-faced, when they go and say something to their audience and then come say something else to the rest of the world, we look like we're conspiracy theorists when we when we come and make shows and tell people like, look, these are their fundamental views. These people actually believe this. People are like, no, you're exaggerating. You're conspiracy theorists. And then we need them to say these things to show the world that like, no, we're not making this stuff up.
Yeah,
All
this
right,
is why
this
I like to
one.
watch people what they say in their own language instead of what they say in English to Western media. See, Amir, here's a good example. What Amir is like pointing to what I'm trying to get at. All those wokies with Free Palestine, man, you just hate Israel. Just be honest about it. It's okay. We won't judge you. I mean, we will, but I mean, at least you're being honest.
Judge you. No, we will judge you for sure. Okay, but don't tell them that. Okay, so what is this one? I de-highlighted this.
Oh, so yeah, this person is saying, wake up before they spend a year trying to gas you. This is what I mean. This person is also getting at what I mean. They spend a year trying to gaslight you about the meaning of intifada. Now, do you understand what globalized the intifada really means? They're just getting started. They've been enabled by weak counterterrorism policies in the West. This is what I'm trying to get at. There's no quibbling. There's no equivocation. It's just straight to the point. Right. And the point is genocidal.
Genocidal. And this way you need to defend Israel.
But now that they're being honest about it, makes our job a lot easier. Okay.
Zionism confirmed. Anyways,
Asian gave a super chat saying scientists in Japan have given hamsters chloroplasts so their skin can photosynthesize. Whoa. Is it halal to get this update when available for humans? Mufti Armin, are we allowed to be able to photosynthesize?
I'll allow it, but there's no direct. I mean, somebody, you could say that, oh, you're messing with God's creation, but there is no hadith that says that you can't. I think that's more of a Christian narrative. Like, I can't think of any hadith that will stop that. So yeah, I think it's allowed. I think you could do that.
Beautiful.
It doesn't have a soul. Yes, Islamically, I'll allow it. Yeah.
They're HG Drake is saying the bad side of them being honest is that it shows they aren't afraid of being anti-Semitic. I mean, this guy lives in the middle of Iran. Iran is one of the world's largest exporters of Holocaust denial and anti-Semitism, like literally. So what does he have to be afraid of?
Actually, I would disagree with that. It's becoming more and more difficult to be anti-Semitic in Iran. It's becoming very, very unpleasant and socially unacceptable to be anti-Semitic in Iran. So this is progress. I mean, it's not to the level that you should
be visiting academic, like working for the regime. I mean, he has the freaking
Khomeini
picture in the background.
I know, but I do notice people being called out, right? To the point that some religious clerics coming out and saying, like, we're not actually anti-Semitic, we're anti-Zionist, right? Why would a cleric in Iran? No, yeah, but even, I mean, I know that's bullshit, but why would a cleric in Iran has to come and preach that? Because the Iranian, like, you must have a huge part of your population that doesn't like Jew hatred. That's what you have to come and say. Like, if there was no resistance, like maybe in Europe, some people would come and say, we're not anti-Semitic, we're anti-Zionist. But wouldn't Iran be somewhere that you could be as easily just without any worry about a backlash to your audience, say like, no, we hate Zionists and Jews, right? But the Quran makes it very specific that the Jews are the enemies of Muslim. So why wouldn't you just say like, oh yeah, we hate Jews and Zionists, no difference. The fact that they have to separate that shows that there's some part of the audience, some part of the population that hates anti-Jewish hatred.
Okay, well put. Okay, so let's go to the next news.
Okay. Clappable?
No one did die. I mean, it's not
okay. I'm clapping. I'm clapping. No one died. Okay. All right. Next news.
Next news. Pakistani man barely escapes lynching over Quran insult accusation. In a harrowing incident highlighting Pakistan's stringent blasphemy laws, Humayun Ullah narrowly escaped lynching after allegedly making derogatory remarks about the Quran during a family argument in Khazana near Peshawar. Police officer Nasir Khan reported that an enraged mob of hundreds blocked and threatened to burn down the police station, demanding that Ullah be handed over to them. Under Pakistan's strict blasphemy laws, which can impose the death sentence for insulting Islam or religious texts, the suspect was arrested as a mob was trying to grab and lynch him in the street. The incident underscores the volatile nature of blasphemy accusations in Pakistan, where even unproven allegations can trigger mob reactions, despite authorities never having actually carried out a death sentence for blasphemy. So this was another big incident that happened recently. And what a lot of people don't understand is that in Pakistan, you are probably safer on death row after a blasphemy accusation than you are out in public. Because there have been instances where actually, you're not even safe in jail anymore, because a few months ago, we covered the incident where a police officer went and shot a man at point blank range, and he was like an old man too, over a blasphemy accusation, and he was celebrated and completely lionized within a moment. And that's like the worst form of custodial abuse like possible. Yeah, Saying almost no one was talking about this online. Weird. Yeah, for this specific
It's normal.
Well, I know, but usually there's more information online about what happened. So, I don't know, people in our live chat from Pakistan, if maybe you have more information available to you, because there was very little available in English. I do have some footage that was attributed to this incident. We can pull that up.
I could unmute it for you. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
this has no audio.
Yeah, I don't know why this has no audio.
Well, which is fine. We don't need audio.
I
do
mean,
you want
just
me to make the sounds that probably people are making? Allahu Akbar! Oh, Allahu Akbar! Wait, what are we looking at? What is this?
So basically, there's a giant mob, I think, trying to attack the police station.
Oh, definitely Allahu Akbar in the background then.
Where the accused was being held.
It's so crazy that the police are scared of the mob. Like, the fact that it used to be that when somebody would get accused of blasphemy, they're like, "Oh my God, take me to prison before the mob gets to me." And now it's so normal then that when they go to the police station, now the police is worried as well, because it's not just the blasphemer that is in danger. Now the mob is going to burn down the police station and kill everyone inside. So the police, it's not like you cannot rely on the police for security.
Mm-hmm.
The mob is so powerful that the police station is in danger because the mob wants the prisoner out. We had the news that the police handed over the blasphemer to the crowd. Didn't we have a news at one point that the police like, fuck it, like, here, like let us live?
I mean, there was the incident that happened where the police officer ended up murdering the guy who was in custody himself. Then the same week, there was another incident where a guy got out essentially in a shootout with the police or something, or accused a shootout, but the details are like a little murky, for a blasphemy accusation. What I think you're thinking of is that the incident that happened, I think in 2021, a few years ago, where there was a guy who was accused of either like desecrating a Quran. I think it was actual desecration, but the man was mentally disabled. And the attacks on the police station where they were holding this mentally disabled man were so bad that the entire police force had to evacuate that precinct and the man barely got away. Like, I can't remember the details of that, and we've covered so many of these that they almost blur together. But I think what may have happened in that case was that they literally almost got their hands on that dude, and the police like barely were able to unhand him and like get him out of there because they wanted to go lynch this mentally disabled man so badly.
I mean,
we covered an incident within the past year where they were throwing grenades at the police station.
I mean, is this not a definition of a failed state? Where the police cannot provide security against the mob? I mean, that's a
for
failed
themselves,
state kind of scenario.
Let alone the accused.
Yeah. Right. Is that not a failed state? I don't know. Maybe I'm exaggerating. That sounds failed state-ish a bit.
No, it's approaching that for sure. I mean, because depending on your philosophy, the function of the state should be to ensure justice and public safety, kind of as its primary functions, first order functions.
By the way, the fact that every time Pakistan arrests somebody for blasphemy and they put them on death row, but not a single time has the state executed somebody for blasphemy. They just sit on death row forever. That's the reason why the mob goes after the police station to get the man, because the Muslim mob thinks that, like, what the fuck? The state never executes these people. So we need to basically do it ourselves, because why hasn't a single person been executed in Pakistan for like
Exactly.
The mob would say, how are we an Islamic state given that we have never ever executed a single person for blasphemy? Is like, how do we call ourselves Islamic? Like, this is embarrassing, right? We don't have anything to show for it. So they're like, okay, let's do it ourselves. Unbelievable.
No, but Armin, we need to unpack that a little bit, because the answer to that situation is not, the state should start executing people for blasphemy. The solution is that provision needs to be taken off of the books, because there's actually been an entire study done about how the presence of blasphemy laws in a country are actually a national security risk to the nation itself.
But
because, let me just finish my thought, because basically having those laws on the books legitimizes that is an appropriate punishment for that offense. It legitimizes that level of punitive retribution. But then if the state is not willing to carry it out itself, then the populace is taught that this is a legitimate punishment for this offense, but the state isn't serving justice because it has defined this as a just punishment. So then we need to take it upon ourselves to enact that justice.
But they wouldn't dare do that, because imagine if you already established that we have this law which is Islamic. Imagine the government that comes and says, like, yeah, we're removing that. That would be a signal to the mob, the Islamic mob, that we are going to just be less Islamic. I mean, that would be very dangerous. I think you're going to
any
potentially
politician
cause
that
a revolution.
could easily get assassinated. I mean,
yeah, I mean, nobody would dare.
Your life is at risk.
Any politician.
This is practical.
Any politician that would suggest that, like, that could be the end of them. I mean, right now, the situation in Pakistan is really crazy.
That's the day that you should leave Pakistan and never come back.
Right. Wait, hold on. Right now, who's that? Right now in Pakistan, there are protests. Like, I don't know if we should cover that, because it's not. It's mostly political. There are so the two main ones that we focus on is the Islamists and the army, right? So the army is a huge force, the main force in Pakistan, which, even though they are religious, they are a lot more secular compared to the mob that we're thinking of, right? And so we have the army, we have these Islamists, different factions in Pakistan that are extremely radical, and basically it's becoming worse and worse. And then we have another religion called Imran Khanism, which is a very popular religion in Pakistan, which is separate from both of these. I mean, they're all Muslim, but it's very different. Like, we have one group that is basically just aggressively Muslim, and anything that smells like blasphemy, they just want blood. Even a suggestion of blasphemy, they're just looking for blasphemy. Okay, so we have one force that is just actively looking for blasphemy, especially any blasphemy that has anything to do with Muhammad not being the last prophet. So they're just looking for that everywhere. So that's one force. Then we have another force, which is the army, which wants a kind of a weird a love-hate relationship with the United States, and wants to maintain dominance, and is the most powerful element in Pakistan. And then we have another cult, which is neither the army, it's anti the army, and it's also not, purely Islamic. It's Imran Khanism, which is growing, and it's actually becoming a major force on its own. So it's kind of weird and complicated. And now they're basically trying to do a protest against the army, but the army is very, very powerful. So there's that. So Imran Khan is kind of like a prophet of himself right now. The people that are loyal to him in Pakistan, they're not like, it's not about Islam anymore. It's about him. It's about that guy, which is weird.
Yeah. I mean, he himself is responsible for like Islamizing the education system in Pakistan, like considerably. Like that.
So is the army. The army is
mutually exclusive.
The army. It's not mutually exclusive. The army is at fault at that as well. Like, these people were trying to have their cake and eat it too. Everybody flirted with increasing Islamism, and now it has become the Frankenstein monster. Like, the army is like, everybody regrets feeding Islamism. Everybody, like, so many people try to flirt around with feeding Islamism, and they eventually regret it. All right. So you see, the Marxists said that, the woke did that. Then the Saudis did that, and even the Islamic Republic is now like, fuck, these Islamists are kind of crazy, they're coming for me. Like, everybody is like, these people are crazy, right? And the army in Pakistan did that, Imran Khan did that, and now every time you feed the Islamists, they grow, and they eventually come for whoever that was feeding them. So yeah, people regret that. Don't feed the Islamists, that they will come for you eventually. Yeah, but anyways. You're muted. Your mic is not working. Every time you change your headphone, your computer switches everything, and then you have to do a restart. Let me see what the comments that D has highlighted. Oh, I want to see. Oh, there we go. Susie's back.
Hello.
We can hear you. No.
Okay, what I was going to say, you got to treat it like fentanyl, okay? Islamism, not even once.
Not even once. Every time you think, like, you know what, politically siding with the Islamists right now, just this one time, I need them this one time, and I'm going to use them a little bit, and then I'm going to stop using them.
Their rebellion might help me a little bit right now. No,
a little bit.
Don't do it. It's bad.
Yes, exactly. Either you're looking like, oh, there's so many votes there, let me just appease a little bit. Ooh, they could do a rebellion for me. They're aggressive. I could scare my enemies with them just a little bit. As soon as you play that game, you're fucked. They eventually are gonna come for you, because it's never enough for them. Yeah.
Anything less than full submission is never enough.
Never enough. Yes.
Wait, I want to find this video so badly. When you were talking about Imran Khan, I was just thinking about when he got arrested. I have to show this because I think about this all the time. I'll make this really, really quick, I promise. The funniest thing to me, okay, people might remember this video, is when, I forget exactly why this was happening or what was going down, but like some special troop or security forces were breaking into, I don't know, his party's headquarters or something. So you see the video and it's just absolute chaos. You see like SWAT guys coming and like bashing down windows, like trying to throw down the door. There's like all these men brawling, whatever. And then the cell phone video pans over and it's just Imran Khan looking like this.
Do you have the video?
I'm
Do you
trying
have
to
the
find
video?
it. I'm trying to
Oh.
find it. It's one of the funniest things in the world. It's absolute
just
chaos,
chilling.
screaming and shouting, and they're like breaking glass like a few feet away, and he's just like, "Oh my god, guys, can we just get this over?" Like, sunglasses on, completely unbothered.
Why is he wearing the
Oh my
sunglasses
God.
inside?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
Wikar, as a
Now I wanna
Pakistani,
see
I made so many memes on this. Like, people can say what they want about him. This was hysterical and iconic.
Oh wow, there's actually
Like, I am trying to bring that level of unbothered energy into my life. I think the definition of unbothered. Oh my god. It's so hard to find the video because a lot of it is like news coverage of the event and not the actual footage. Oh my god. So funny to me.
okay. Wait, we should read the comments, huh? Of the highlighted.
Yes. Okay, scroll
Oh,
down.
she said there's not that many comments about it.
Yeah. Person was saying like this happens again and again and again. This person responded, I suspect those idiots boast to each other when they lynch the accused. They likely share the tales and attempt to outdo each other in a quest to hunt down blasphemers. The more enthusiastic they are, the more they feel Allah will look kindly upon them.
This
I
is
agree.
actually so true. This is actually, let me tell you something this, okay? Whenever there are a lot of these people that this is their attitude, okay? When they see videos of other people, mob, like gathering around a blasphemer and kicking him and being like the killer, they are so upset that they were not there. They think that they missed out on a blessing. Do you know what I mean? That the people who were there, they had the opportunity to take part in killing a blasphemer. They think that they were the luckiest people on the planet, right? And especially if you are, the reason why you see so many people hitting as aggressively as they possibly can, because they think that the people who were responsible for the killing blow, those are the most blessed one. So if you hit the guy and injure the guy, you actually weren't responsible for his death. So when it gets close to the time that he's actually losing his life, if you were one of the people that hit the killing hit, then you actually managed to be a killer of a blasphemer, and the rewards for that in the afterlife is unimaginable, right? And that's why a lot of these people have their ears like they're like waiting, like, I hope I am close to a place where somebody gets accused of blasphemy and I'm there at that moment. And that's why as soon as there's some accusation of blasphemy, like the thing that comes across these people's mind, like, oh my god, this is the day, this is my chance, and they rush towards the scene. So that's the mentality.
Yeah.
So
let's go to the next story, which is as close to good news in Pakistan that we've gotten in a long time.
Good news from Pakistan. Let's hope this is actually good news. Don't trick us, Susanna. Don't tease us with us. Okay. All right. Clapping then, right?
Yes.
Okay. Next news.
Pakistani team sentenced to life in prison for killing blasphemy accused in court. In a chilling demonstration of Pakistan's draconian blasphemy laws, Faisal Khan, a teenage boy barely in his mid-teens, was sentenced to life imprisonment for murdering Tahir Ahmad Nassim, a 57-year-old Pakistani American, in a shocking courtroom assassination in July 29th, 2020. So now let's refresh our memory on what happened back then, because we covered this case and this was a really, really big deal. Khan, who entered the Peshawar Central Prison courtroom and shot Nassim at point-blank range, claimed that Prophet Muhammad had visited him in a dream and explicitly commanded him to commit the murder, shouting angrily that Nassim was an enemy of Islam. Nassim, who had previously been a member of the Ahmadiyya religious minority, which are legally unrecognized as Muslims in Pakistan, had been on trial after being accused by a madrasa student of claiming to be a prophet following an online conversation in a meeting in a Peshawar shopping mall. At the time of the murder, Khan was celebrated as a heroic defender of Islam by religious fundamentalists, local politicians, clerics, and with numerous lawyers offering to defend him for free, reflecting the deeply rooted and volatile religious tensions surrounding blasphemy accusations. The Anti-Terrorism Court, which conducting the trial in a juvenile court capacity, sentenced Khan to life imprisonment and imposed a fine of 1 million Pakistani rupees, approximately 3,600 USD. While Nassim's daughter launched an international campaign petitioning the United Nations and the US State Department to intervene and challenge Pakistan's systematically abused blasphemy laws that disproportionately target religious minorities. Okay, so let's unpack this case from the beginning. So basically, there was this man, Tahir Nassim, and when he was a young man, he was from Pakistan, from the Ahmadiyya community. He moved to America and became a naturalized US citizen. So he was an American. And he did many things throughout his life. He had a family. He worked for US forces in linguistics for some times, and then he was a school bus driver. And what happened was, so apparently there's a mixed reporting on this element, where he was from the Ahmadiyya community. For those who don't know about this, this is a minority in the Muslim world that is very, very heavily, systematically persecuted and discriminated against in Pakistan because they believe that there is a prophet after the Prophet Muhammad. And so they face extreme abuse in Pakistan. And there are some reports that say that he converted to Sunni Islam. And then other reports saying, oh no, he only did this to get away from his Ahmadiyya identity. It wasn't a valid conversion. And then there's other accusations that he had been claiming to be a prophet himself, which is very obviously one of the most heretical, blasphemous things you can do in Islam. So those are all claims that I hear floating around. It's not entirely clear what the actual status of what his beliefs were, but that led to some of the hatred against him. So he had been in conversation online with a bunch of madrasa students in Pakistan. And basically, these madrasa students lured him from the US to Pakistan, saying that, oh no, we're just gonna have a conversation. We're gonna have, based on what I've read, almost they framed it as, oh, we're gonna have maybe a debate or something. It's gonna be all very respectful. We talk about our differences in religious views and all this stuff. And so this happened around 2018, I believe. Meanwhile, his children are full-blown kids. One of his sons is less than 10 years old at the time. His daughter, I think, is around maybe the age of 15, 16. His kids are still very, very young. And he, on false pretenses, goes to Pakistan. And I think he meets with this madrasa student or something at a mall. And basically, this madrasa student then files a police report against him and files charges against him for blasphemy. And so then this guy gets taken and is now going through the Pakistani court system accused of blasphemous remarks against the Prophet Muhammad and the seal of the Prophet, which is an extremely serious offense. I mean, I probably don't need to tell most of our audience that. And so what ended up happening? So first of all, he's stuck in the court system for like 2 years. And according to this man's daughter, who was doing activism on his behalf while she's still a very young person herself, saying that apparently they did not get a lot of support from the US State Department, which is, I mean, it's horrible, you know. This person is an American, and in a situation like that, it's incumbent upon, you know, our resources and departments of state to help ensure the security of Americans. But apparently their hands were kind of tied in the situation. So there were some rumors that he was maybe going to get acquitted of this case. So what ended up happening was that this teenager, who was either 15 or 17 years old at the time, depending on reporting, was basically incited to go commit this murder. He said that Prophet Muhammad came to him in a dream to go commit this murder. And basically, it was through a lawyer in the courtroom was able to smuggle in a weapon into the courtroom and shoot this man dead at point blank range. And he died almost instantly before he could be taken in an ambulance or to the hospital. And, you know, there's no doubt that this kid did it because, I mean, he did it in open court, right? And he was immediately lauded as a hero. We covered the stories about how there were thousands of people celebrating him in the streets, rallies in support of him, immediately calling him a hero. We have actually, let me pull this up right now. 1 second. All these photos of the police, like special forces police, taking photos with him, like selfies, obviously praising him. Yeah, wait. Here we go. I saved this link so for this purpose. Okay. Wait. Here we go. Okay. So like, here's an example. Can you guys see this? Let me make this bigger. This is a photo of the police all taking selfies with him. Like, oh, yay, smiling. He looks like he just graduated high school or something, $1 million. We got the thumbs up over here. Then we had these giant marches and demonstrations in support of him. There were all these examples of where is it, like people like trying to shower him with flowers and taking his photo and covering it with flowers and garlands and celebrating him, unequivocally praising him for what he did. So basically, the update is that he got sentenced to prison. So that's today's update, that justice was served. However, there are main things I want to say about this is, one, people might say like, oh, well, why didn't he get the death penalty or blah, blah, blah. I'm actually very glad that he didn't get the death penalty. And the reason why, besides the fact that in general I'm opposed to the death penalty, but in this specific instance, is because I believe that if he ended up getting executed for this act, he would be celebrated and lionized even more. And he would become a martyr even more. And that's the last thing that we need for an act like this right now. Like, good, have him go rot in jail. Like, because when we saw the assassination of the governor of Punjab, Salman Taseer, who was assassinated by his own bodyguard because he merely asked for mercy for a blasphemy accused. He didn't even commit blasphemy himself. He asked for mercy towards someone who had been accused of blasphemy, a Christian woman. He was murdered by his own bodyguard. His bodyguard's funeral was attended by hundreds of thousands. The photos of the size of the crowd are mind-boggling. And then the grave and tomb of that murderer then became a shrine, essentially. People, completely lionized and heroized that man. I don't want this kid to get that same treatment. He doesn't deserve it. So I actually prefer that he gets life in prison over facing the death penalty for what he did. Now, the problem is that one, as much as I'm like, okay, yay, good news from Pakistan, there are some things about this case that I think were a miscarriage of justice. One, he was able to successfully petition to be in juvenile court. And basically, wait, where's the so the people that assisted him in this murder were both acquitted. They were both acquitted and not found guilty and completely let off, despite the fact that one of them openly admitted that they had a role in the murder. So these are the people that helped him get into the courtroom, supplied him with the weapons, helped incite the murderer to go do this. They are completely acquitted and let off. Despite the fact that they openly admit that they had a role in the killing. And so that's why some people are saying that this is a miscarriage of justice. And it's really heartbreaking. I went to go read several op-eds and stuff that his daughter wrote after this happened. I remember when it happened, she was circulating petitions to try to get the murderer extradited to the United States to be tried because she didn't feel like he would face a fair trial in Pakistan, and for good reason. I remember signing that petition, circulating that petition, thinking about what her life is like. I actually went and found her on LinkedIn, and it seems like she's doing well for herself, but it's just horrible to think about their young children who lost their father over someone who entrapped him into a blasphemy case. We've been talking about blasphemy entrapment in Pakistan more and more on this channel. I'm heartbroken over the failure of the US government to act accordingly to protect their citizens. And what's also really sad is hearing his daughter talk about what she's gone through. So merely because she comes out in the open and talks about, hey, my dad was murdered, can I get justice? Or, hey, can we treat the court case a certain way? Blah, blah, blah. She was immediately flooded with death threats from Pakistanis. Flooded to the point that a month later, because the op-ed that I read was published very shortly after the original murder. Within a month, she'd already gotten used to being flooded with death threats. Within a month, still grieving because your dad was murdered in open court because no one protected him, and you're getting flooded with death threats. And she's saying, she is also grieving the lack of support inside the country her father considered a second home, and fears that she may not be able to visit ever again, because she grew up visiting. Of course, you'd go visit the country that your dad came from, She said, quote, right now, I know that it's not ideal for me to go back because being related to my dad could get me killed, she said. It's just very, very heartbreaking and sad that people would do this to us, to their own, and that they would turn their back at us. Whatever the personal cost, as she struggles to balance campaigning with work and her pre-med degree course, she is determined to keep fighting. She said, this is obviously my priority, and I will drop everything to get justice for him. Yeah. So I am happy to see that this guy did get a very serious sentence. And like I said, I'm actually happy that it's not the death penalty. But considering that the other people, basically got let off, I don't know, it doesn't feel like 100% a good news. But Armin, what do you think?
No, I agree with you. I mean, it's better. It's better just. I just wondering if he's gonna get free. As some people were suggesting in the chat that maybe something will happen. The Islamists will put pressure, and that they will free the man. So that's a source of worry. That's a legitimate source of worry. So, I also saw somebody in the chat asking this, and because they asked it, I knew the answer to this, so I wanted to highlight it. Sky is saying, isn't that blasphemy in itself to have a dream featuring Muhammad? So this is actually very interesting. Susie, what do you think? Is it blasphemy to claim that I saw Muhammad in my dream?
I don't think so. Not necessarily. I think if you claim to be receiving certain messages, or if you receive a revelation, that would be blasphemy. I don't necessarily think the dream itself is blasphemy. I mean, am I wrong? Tell me, Mufti Armin.
No, you're right. No, yeah. You're right. But messages from Muhammad is not blasphemy. Messages from God is blasphemy. Saying Muhammad in your dream is not blasphemy, because it's not a connection to God. It's a connection to Muhammad. And also, not only it's not blasphemy, it's actually, if you see Muhammad, it's Islamic belief that if you see Muhammad in your dream, that is not just a dream. That is Muhammad.
Oh,
so it's actually the opposite. Yeah. So if you see Muhammad in your dream, you're actually seeing Muhammad himself. So it's the opposite of blasphemy. You actually talk to Muhammad. In fact, this is so strong. This is not just a, sometimes I say some Muslims believe because it's just a small group of people who believe it. Okay. However, this is not that. This has hadith behind it. Hold on. So not only hadith, this has actually Sahih Bukhari hadith backing this belief. Look at this. The Prophet in Sahih Bukhari, I'm not making this up. This is actually the actual source. Okay, you could go look it up. For people who are new here, if it's Sahih hadith, especially Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, it means that it's a fundamental, inseparable part of all four Sunni Islamic schools of thought. So this is pure Islamic belief. So what did Muhammad say? This is a hadith from Muhammad. Whoever has seen me in a dream, then know that he has seen me. For Satan cannot imitate my shape. So the reason why if you see Muhammad in your dream, that's Muhammad himself, is because it's impossible for Satan to pretend to be Muhammad. So if you see Muhammad in a dream, that's Muhammad himself, according to the hadith.
This is a bit problematic because we actually covered a story that happened in Pakistan 2 years ago where a teacher was killed because a 13-year-old had a dream that the teacher committed blasphemy in their dream. So they murdered their teacher.
Yes, that's a source of problem. If you see Muhammad, I mean, so Sarah is asking, what if a Jew sees Muhammad in a dream? I mean, the questions are actually a lot, Sarah, because what if I see Muhammad in a dream and Muhammad sees that orgies are actually fine, for example, right? What if Muhammad comes into my dream and says that I don't know, I hate Islam, I hate the Quran, like what do I do with that? What do I do with that?
No, but this is the problem, because in the murder case that I just told you about, a 13-year-old girl had a dream that Prophet Muhammad had directed them that the victim had committed blasphemy against the Prophet, and the Prophet had ordered them to slaughter the victim. So if the dream is that you were visited by Prophet Muhammad, this 13-year-old is saying, Prophet Muhammad visited me and told me that this teacher committed murder against me, blasphemy against me, and you got to go kill him. And then they're like, okay, we got to go do it. Oh my God.
I see some really interesting questions in the chat. People like Panteron is saying, what if I saw Muhammad in a wet dream? And Amir saying, what if Muhammad says I'm cool with Israel? You know, I would think that it would be more problem if you see Muhammad in a dream and you guys are doing BDSM together. I think that would be less of a issue than Muhammad coming and saying I'm cool with Israel. I think the second one is more problematic as something that Muhammad was saying.
Oh my God.
Yes. Okay. Anyways, do you want to do the comments here in this
Yes.
article?
Please
Oh wow.
scroll.
Sarah saying Muhammad told me he's a furry.
Oh God. Don't get me started.
Yes, don't get Susie started on that. She doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
here's an example. I mean, you want to talk about lionized. I mean,
Oh,
this
wow.
guy, they're literally just showing him as a lion.
Wow.
And someone was saying, finally, this Ghazi has been sentenced to life imprisonment by an anti-terrorism court after he killed an unarmed man for religiously motivated purposes. So this person is actually saying, like, okay, thank God he got sentenced. Yeah,
This
other
is like
people are
the
saying very
lion
good.
thing is so interesting because Muhammad hijab, you know how he puts the lion of Islam is constantly like a theme. You know, somebody
yeah.
that is a hero in Islam, they want to associate them with a lion. That's why when I review Muhammad hijab videos, you can see it's a lion roaring at the beginning and then he puts his name on it. Yes. Anyways, that's very good.
It's
What
one
is
thing
this one?
someone else to call you a lion, but when you're calling yourself a lion, I feel like that's so cringe.
Yes.
So here, yeah, exactly. Here are a bunch of the photos of him being taken into custody. Look at the vibe. Look at how happy everyone is. Like, you would literally think he just like won a prize or is like valedictorian or, you know,
That's what the
some
caption
big
is saying.
news, like I'm becoming a father or whatever. Apparently, there was reporting that there was literally Pakistani lawyers that were lining up and like fighting to give him representation for free. They're like vying. His lawyer said to the media that like everyone is trying to do pro bono work for him. They're fighting to try to represent him. I mean, it's insane.
Okay, so the caption is actually an Iranian speaking in Persian.
Oh.
That is basically, you can see how anti-Islamic Iranians are, because the caption says, "No, do not be mistaken. This is not a picture of somebody who has ranked first in an Olympiad. This is a Muslim brother who has killed somebody for blasphemy and in a court with a bullet and this is how they're praising him." So he says, like, look at basically the caption in Persian is saying, look how barbaric basically Muslims are, that they treat somebody like this because he killed somebody for blasphemy, not because he's like ranked number one in math or in sports,
not because of an accomplishment,
noteworthy.
not because of
it's not an yeah. So this Iranian guy is saying, like, look, this is what's considered an accomplishment in Pakistan. So he's making fun of it, right?
I mean, let's be clear.
So,
they actually have every social motivation to do this. There are no incentives to not do this. There's, I mean, from a very logical perspective, you have a million incentives to go do this.
right.
That's not, it's actually not crazy. It's very logical in a sense.
You can see that they arrested him for killing that person. He has his hands tied behind his back, but while they're doing what they're supposed to do, they're trying to kiss him and celebrate him.
They're fighting to try to kiss him.
They're fighting to try to kiss him while arresting him. This is such a weird place. This could be Pakistan. What about this one?
Oh, and then this person is like full blown making threats. Fully in support of what happened. Not only in Pakistan, any in the world, we will try to kill people like Tahir. We don't compromise on our beloved prophet.
Interesting. Okay, So that was the last comment. We're running out of time, so let's do the super chats really quick because I know you want to make sure that we get enough time that you said. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Shami. Shami is giving a 2 pounds saying, thank you for sharing this, guys. Of course. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
Thank you for the support.
People, by the way, I appreciate our audience from Pakistan and our Pakistani audience as well. I noticed other people from Pakistan were also mentioning that they were grateful that we're covering this. And thank you so much, Muhammad, for supporting us. And yeah, and guys, let's remember all the people in Pakistan who have to deal with this bullshit, and other people, other Pakistan people from Pakistan around the world that are noticing what's happening to the country. Like when you see these things, like you have to sympathize with the Pakistani people who don't want to see this happening to the country. Yeah.
Engaging American is asking a good question, especially because depictions are not really allowed. Saying, how will you know what the Prophet Muhammad looks like?
Well, if he claims that he's Muhammad, according to this hadith, it's Muhammad. Okay. So if you see, I don't know, a pink hippo with a dildo up its ass claiming that I'm Muhammad, then that's what Muhammad looks like. Okay. So it cannot be anything else but Muhammad. Okay.
Why are you like this? God damn.
That's what it came to my mind.
Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to talk about is Giving Tuesday. Okay, guys, for those of you who are not Americans, let me explain what this is. Basically, I don't know what it is about Americans, but we've decided that every day after Thanksgiving has its own meaning. Okay. So there's Black Friday, Small Business Saturday. There's something on Monday. It's a whole thing. And in the spirit of gratitude of the season, end of year giving, and maybe giving back after you just did a bunch of buying presents, for the holidays or whatever, we have Giving Tuesday. So we have a Giving Tuesday campaign for Atheist Republic. And please consider giving. You don't have to wait for Giving Tuesday, which is December 3rd. You can go ahead and give today. And this is really important for us because this Atheist Republic team is not just me and Armin. We have a huge team behind the scenes, both on the Persian side, on the English side, on the Arabic side. And we really want to make our work bigger and better than ever before. We've had a huge impact this year. And we've already reached over 10 million views this year alone, with our English and Persian channels combined. The Persian channel is already over 5 million. And that's what I love about our work is not only are we talking about these issues that maybe some people think are too controversial, or they try to silence the conversation, shut down discussion of these difficult topics, but we want to cover it with compassion and rationalism. But we also bring that to the Persian side of things, which is really important because if you're here on this channel, you know that we believe that a free Iran, free from the Islamic Republic, is one of the most important steps towards peace in general, but specifically peace in the Middle East. And so what that mandates is spreading the ideas that lead to the most prosperity for the most people within that nation, within that language, within that community, and also working to defend those values here in our homes. And that's what we do. And that's what we're dedicated towards. And I'm super proud of the work that we've done. I'm super proud of all the work that Armin has accomplished this year, especially the work to bring together people from different nations, promoting these ideas, these ideals, defending them against the many forces which desire to destroy what has lifted, millions and millions of people out of poverty. And that's what we're here for. And we want to do it bigger and better than ever before. So that's what we're raising money for this year. And if that speaks to you, if you love the content that we do, if you find enjoyment out of it, if you learn anything, or maybe what matters to you is knowing that there are kids or teenagers and young people and isolated adults in countries where they can't express themselves freely, where it is dangerous to be an atheist, where it's dangerous to be an apostate, where they can't be themselves. But at Atheist Republic, they can find a community here. Maybe that's what's important to you. Maybe that's who you think about when you think about Atheist Republic. And when you support our work, you're supporting that person. Feel less alone, be less psychologically isolated, have a place where they can express themselves, and not be fearful. These are some of the things that I'm most proud of with our work. And yeah, so if that speaks to you, if you're a person who these values and the protection of people like apostates is important to you, please consider giving this Giving Tuesday or through the end of the year. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share today.
By the way, for people who can speak Persian, I'm always going to include the link to our Persian channel in the description, because for some people keep asking us for that, and then for all our descriptions from now on will have the link to our Persian channel for people who are curious. And I'm really hoping, because as Susanna mentioned, that we have 2 sister channels, an English channel and Persian channel, and I consider our English channel to be more of a defensive. And our Persian channel to be more on the offensive, right? We have these dangerous ideas that are trying to come and inhibit progress around the world, because the world is getting better and better, but there are certain backwards ancient ideas that are, and some modern ones that are standing in our way, and they're coming for these countries that are progressing faster than the rest of the world, but these toxic ideas could, stop the speed of progress. So the English channel, the way I see it, is trying to raise awareness so that we become stronger against the spread of these toxic ideas in Western liberal countries. But the Persian channel goes to the heart of the problem. It's more at the offensive. It's the source of, and one of the major source of these horrible ideas, which is the Islamic Republic. We know that when you see a lot of the terrorism and a lot of the propaganda and a lot of the brainwashing comes from the mullahs in Tehran. And the greatest weapon that we have against the mullahs in Tehran are the Iranian people. So the Persian channel, when it comes to the thoughts, the ideas that we think make the world a better place, I think spreading those ideas in Iran does the world a favor. And that's why we see the Persian channel as our offensive force. So, and I'm hoping, by the way, guys, I know I'm like, some people accuse me of being a tech bro because I rely too much on the advancement of tech for a lot of our problems to be solved. But I'm genuinely optimistic about you guys being able to at some point watch our Persian channel, because hopefully with AI, we're going to have real-time translations without subtitles at some point on YouTube. So you guys would be able to, the people who don't speak Persian, I'm hoping that you could come and watch in the near future, hopefully you get to watch our Persian channel and get more familiar with what we talk about there. And you are going to basically real time, as I'm speaking, you're going to be able to see the translation with my own voice in English. I hope that becomes an option on YouTube soon. So, subscribe to that channel as well, in case that ever happens.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Please consider giving if you are financially able. Only if you're financially able. Okay. And also, by the way, if you are watching this on Twitter and you're not watching this on YouTube, get over on YouTube. It's so much better. Please make sure to like and subscribe. If you are not able to give, the way that you can give is by making an offering to the YouTube algorithm gods, the only gods that we recognize here at Atheist Republic. Everyone, please come together. Okay. You can give tithe by hitting that like, leaving a comment, tell us what your favorite segment of the show today was, and make sure to subscribe. Tell you, as Armin would say, tell your friends and your enemies
Jinns
to
and
come
angels.
watch Atheist Republic.
Yeah. Guys, so the link to the donations for Giving Tuesday is in the description. And also, I'm going to put it as a comment and pin it at the top. But also, please, as Susanna mentioned, do not donate to us if you're struggling financially, or anyone else. Do not even think about it. It is very irresponsible of you if you don't have your financials in order and you're trying to donate to somebody. It's very irresponsible. Okay, you have to take care of your own self first. If you want to support us, there are free ways to do that. As Susie mentioned, like the stream, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification. You could also advertise our channel, tell people to come subscribe. But again, don't do that only if it's not a risk to you. If you're living in an Islamic country, for example, and recommending our channel could cause trouble for you, please do not recommend our channel. Okay. So yeah, but there are other ways that you can support us that are free and risk-free. Yes. Come to Israel. Yes, we would. I would like to come to Israel again at some point. I'm trying to increase my friends in Israel so that when I go to Israel, I have so many people that will host me. So I will go to Israel at some point. Anyways, guys, like the stream and I'll do all of that. And stay liberal, stay Zionist, and till next show. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye.